And like that, we're back with another Unpacked presented to you by the To Be Fair Show and
the G Shit Podcast.
It doesn't matter how you feel.
All right, y'all see the title? Part 2. We're doing part 2 of a revisit of the Pan-African, the FBA conversation. Today we're going to kind of dive in a little bit more specific on delineation and reparations. And can, has, and will any of these two work? But before then, we got a fire panel. My bad. I ain't even got their names up there. Give me 1 second. The guys, y'all see the y'all see the cash apps behind it. Again, super chats will be available as well on both channels. We're streaming on the GH podcast and the To Be Fair Show podcast as well as Instagram, I want to say. But all that filibustering to get to the guys and introduce yourselves, fellas. G, talk to us.
What's good, everybody? It's G, proud HBCU graduate, host of the G Shit Podcast, where we focus on family, friends, finance, freedom, and our future, and fuck everything else. Y'all know what to do. Check that out wherever you get your podcast. Just search at GSHPOD.
Hi.
Below him, FBA's own Mr. David Walker, aka Cassius Trey. My brother, what's going on?
What's good? What's good? Big FBA salute to the on-code FBA family. Help me out in the chat. Shout out to the regulars and what up to everybody else. And I'm a proud PWI grad. You know, I don't really want to throw too much extra on it. You know what I mean? Because it's the PWI. But you know.
Why downplay your own? Why downplay your own situation? Big it up. Stick your
why
chest out.
Why upplay a tether factory? I mean, excuse me. My bad.
Damn.
I meant like you know what I mean.
Damn.
Why upplay something?
You said white. You said white on, white grown. Johnny, talk to us, my brother. Johnny J Rock, Mr. Newton. I think J. Cole and Benny the Butcher got a song named after you. Johnny, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, family? What's going on? Glad to be back. You know, been MIA the past couple of weeks. Want to give a shout out to all the, you know, messages, everything. I've been trying to reply back to everybody. Appreciate all the love. You know, rest in peace, Daddy, man. Rest easy.
Yeah,
and
man. Prayers,
another one, man.
Prayers, bro.
Nah, appreciate it, man. Y'all boys, held it down. But I'm back now, so we gotta, you know, looking forward to a great conversation and I want to catch up. I missed last week, so I got to get back in and, you know, drop my little gems off.
Okay. I like it. So as we start to get into the conversation, of course, if you're new here, we always start with a couple icebreakers. This is a little bit on topic, off topic icebreaker. Trey presented us with a really interesting question. I think that it kind of will open the door for some political conversations to start off. The question is, what's worse, misrepresentation or no representation? I imagine that's in the idea of Republican and Democrat, but we can start it off vague and we can make it a little more siloed as we continue. But what's worse, misrepresentation or no representation?
I'd say no representation. It's like what's worse, misinformation and no information. I'd say no information is better. Just because it's better to like you know, say it's better to like stay silent than open your mouth and prove you're an idiot type deal. I mean, sometimes if you don't know anything, then you know what I mean. Like it's better to just not mislead the people, because I think a lot of the times. We'll start vague and then because I'm about to get into the Democrat Republican talk.
Are we talking no representation as in like I don't have a choice, or are we talking like I choose to not be represented?
I'm talking about like if a person sends a representative to be your spokesperson, is it better that nobody speaks for you as you don't have a representative, or is it better to have a representative that doesn't represent your interests? Like, don't send a delegate, a poor delegate, or don't send a delegate at all.
It would depend on what the other person's policy was.
depends on what the policy was.
Yeah, because I don't necessarily need them to represent me directly if they've got policies that I'm in favor of.
So if the person has policies you're in favor of, and you don't need representation, I agree with that. Yeah, because it's better to have that versus somebody who goes against the policies that you're in favor of, and then makes it seem as though you're not,
or not have none altogether. It's like, because if you don't have no representation, then you basically guarantee that you don't get anything that say you might want to ask for. But if somebody, that's what I'm saying, when you say misrepresent, like, it's one thing to have somebody up there not representing like me or what I want specifically, but if what they want aligns with what I want, then, you know, I'd rather have that than no representation at all.
You rather have someone that represents you but doesn't represent what you want? Is it what you're saying? Say that part again.
I'm saying, even if they don't represent me directly,
Yeah.
but the things they do represent are things that I also want for myself, then I can be cool with something like that, getting behind something like that. Pause. But if they're representing something that doesn't represent me and goes against like what I want from a policy perspective, then like that's like worst case scenario.
If they're aligned with your interests, and how is it misrepresentation?
Because like you can have, so two different groups can want the same thing. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I'm saying. That like they don't necessarily have to directly represent my group, but if they have some common ground that we can stand on, then I can go like that. But like if you're saying have somebody literally go up there and lie on your behalf, then I think it's a very like I don't even like, why would you choose to have somebody go up there and like intentionally misrepresent you, as in like lie? You know what I'm saying? Not be truthful.
Maybe this will capture like what you're saying. If I have a person that's not of my lineage go and represent me, but they're on code, so they represent my interests. That's not, I don't want that. That's not like a fair representation of me, because they're not, of my lineage. But I would prefer that person over a person who is of my lineage, but they aren't in line with they're off code. Right? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I agree with that too.
All right, Johnny, talk to us.
I mean, I'm gonna say I think no representation is better than misrepresentation, because misrepresentation is kind of like I look at it like the DEI programs, and how like we're being misrepresented as like the benefactors of it, and we don't get no benefit from it, but we get all the backlash. And I think like misrepresentation is dangerous. It can be used against you. It can create other enemies. It can it can inhibit progress, so to say. So I think even with like the whole in the Donald 2016, the whole misinformation and Facebook, we saw how dangerous misinformation can be, how it can be weaponized. And I'm a big believer in truth and facts. And so if it's not going to be truth and facts, I'd rather not have it. And I'd rather not be represented if somebody's not going to represent us in truth and good faith. Personally.
Gotcha.
Real quick, can I clarify? Man, the question we're talking about HBCU and PWI, the whole thing is whether or not it produces people who are on code. So if you want me to pick between the PWI and the HBCU, of course I pick a HBCU, but the question is, does that produce Black American advocates? And the answer to that is no, neither of them do. So it doesn't matter. That's my whole point. It's not HBCU or PWI. I'm not like on the side of PWI over HBCU. So I don't want to like paint the picture that that's my position, because it's not.
G, did you want to hop in there, or I don't know, or we can go right? You muted, but we can stay back on.
No, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's not what I heard earlier, but We'll let it. We'll
that's
just
not what
let
I
it
said.
go. No, it's easy. Hey, look, when it's live, it's things different. But I get it. I
That's
get it.
not what
I get it.
That's definitely what I said. I said if you don't,
No, look, hey, look, I respect it, bro.
I said
I respect it.
no, I know nobody lied. I said which one produces FBA advocates. I specifically said that word FBA advocates. So you don't say I'm lying, bro.
I didn't say you were lying. I said I thought I heard something different.
Oh, but I said FBA advocates. Like who produces FBA advocates, right?
I could have sworn you also said that HBCUs are like dead, like waste of time, waste of effort.
And I think you correlated them to Boule and something else.
And hood.
Right.
And Pan-African and hood. Yeah.
What's the common denominator between all that? It's what I just said. They're not FBA advocates. Right, exactly.
The hood's not FBA advocates?
Who? The hood?
Yeah.
Not just because you're from the hood doesn't make you an FBA advocate. No.
Oh, okay.
You thought it did?
Or the suburbs?
Oh, no. Typically, I've heard you say that the hood is filling the FBA movement, and the grassroots is starting inside the hood, and that's where there's a lot of support. But if that's something different than what you're saying now, that's why you just said it was hood, and you use it as a derogatory. Typically, you use the hood and the field and the movement that's coming out of there with the FBAs as a positive. So I was just pointing out the fact that there's like you're using it in two separate ways.
And I could have sworn you said HBCUs were like what was the word? I can't remember the exact word, but I know you said something to the effect that when it comes to HBCUs, they're not as good as quality compared to PWIs.
They lack the funding.
That boy slick.
But was that the only reason? Was that the only reason why you said they're not as good? Was because of funding?
Also because there's a brain drain. Where
you also said it was just a social symbol. You said it's a social status. HBCUs. That's all it is.
It's a social status, and it's more like a social club now than it is. I think if it was really serving its purpose, they would have more advocacy for our lineage, for the people who created them. But instead, they lean Pan-African a lot of times, and then they lean left-leaning, very Democrat-leaning, and they produce people like a lot of feminism is over there. There's a lot of devices that have infested Black movements live in HBCUs. They've been infiltrated heavily,
and those things also exist in PWIs too.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's not something unique to HBCUs.
That's why I brought up my point with the poll. Right. It's not like either one. It's like Democrat or Republican. It's like two sides of the same bird. Like they created HBCUs to kind of take like the Black academia and then steer it in a direction away from Black empowerment. They take the best and the brightest a lot of times and take them to the PWIs to acclimate them in white society. So nobody's doing the work for our lineage. That's my point. But people go to HBCUs and they think, oh, it's some badge of honor. I'm for the lineage, but you're not.
So let me ask you this. If you have a well-to-do, smart young person, you saying you're using these words like they send them to PWIs. Like who's they that's sending these people to PWIs?
It's not really. It's just really just a figure of speech. I mean, people send themselves. People.
So it's our own community sending these students to PWIs. It's not like it's like some Negroes think that their books are written in better English than HBCUs, and that their math makes more sense than HBCU math, and so forth and so forth. Like is like that's not like a like when you talk about self-pride and staying on code, can't you make an argument the fact that we send so many of our most gifted to PWIs, like isn't that like one of the biggest forms of sort of like sabotaging our communities and our institutions?
I think that they take advantage of Black Americans' desire to do things like go to our own institution because we have that cultural pride. And then they find those institutions where we are because of that innate nature, the same one that supported Marcus Garvey. They take that and then they target those places and then put people on boards that are in the Pan-Africanism, people that are liberals, people that are in the feminism, and they infiltrate, like they infest our institutions with these ideologies that don't move us forward. So I think in theory, it's good to go to HBCU because you want to be able to go to a black school. But unfortunately, they've been compromised.
But if you had to go to school, what school would you go to?
You should probably go to the one that's going to get you the
all things equal.
Yeah, I'll probably go to the one that's going to give me the best opportunity, or either I would go to a HBCU.
All things equal.
I think ideally, what we're trying to do now is push a lot of these tethers out of the administration, and then reclaim our HBCUs. That would be ideally what we do.
So you're gonna not ask the question. I mean, answer the question. Which would you? All things equal, programs are accredited,
funding,
price is the same. They got great facilities.
Oh, HBCU.
You could go to A or B. Which one you choosing?
HBCU.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think if that's the reality, then like, do we have a better chance of making HBCUs work for us, or do we have a better chance of trying to get PWIs to do that sort of thing? Like, I just feel like if like we shouldn't target and tear down HBCUs, we should be encouraging people to like further like enhance what the institution offers the community versus try to tear down like the few sort of pillars we have that are actually black standing.
Hey, I want to add something just to this. I think like the HBCUs, according to Trey, like it would be almost like a misrepresentation of black culture. It's like, but it's still good to have the representation.
What makes an HBCU a misrepresentation of black culture?
That's what I'm saying. It's a a misrepresentation.
No, I'm asking what makes HBCUs a misrepresentation of black culture and not like a melting pot of black culture. If you're taking black kids from like a diverse socioeconomic space and area and economic groups and having them all freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year live amongst each other, share similar stories as well. Like typically most HBCUs have required classes that deal with black history that you kind of have to learn. You have to learn about pretty much what black history and the founding of the institutions. And within that, there's always intentional black programming from like we brought like Minister Farrakhan to like, you know, like a bunch of black cultural figures throughout the years to come speak about black issues consistently. What would make it a misrepresentation and not like a melting pot of a diverse group of black people?
Well, maybe it's a misrepresentation of just strictly FBA idea.
There we go.
Might not be a misrepresentation of,
but it's mainly FBA that's in HBCUs. Like it's not, you don't get a bunch of foreign exchange students.
They got other presidents.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I was just trying.
Their president. What? Like I don't know. I know Central's president. I don't know about Winston-Salem.
It's probably more Africans and Caribbeans at your state institution than your HBCU. If we being real,
you'd be surprised, bro. They don't have Africa Takeovers Day at PWIs, but they have it.
Yes, they have all kind of clubs at these PWIs.
No, I said Africa Takeover Day.
Where they didn't have Africa Week, nigga. What you talking about? They have a whole week.
Yeah, but we never had an Africa Takeover Day.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, you graduated.
I'm not
sure. Wednesdays.
Yeah, not Chicken Wednesdays returned and Fish Fridays.
Yeah, Q. That was a while ago.
Yeah, we had Chicken Wednesdays
present day.
No, we had Friday.
Well, I can
not chicken finger.
You know, I guess within like the past 10 years, I've been attached to different institutions. But again, my sister just graduated from HBCU. I can tap into that.
Yeah, I'd be curious if what she says more so because I think we had an influx of
immigration. My bad. Go ahead.
We had an influx of immigration in the 80s. So a lot of like the second generation, all the like there's been
there's not an influx of immigration in the South like that. That's typically like northern. I'm talking like as in like the Caribbeans and all, like there's not an influx of that. Even the people that called into the show, they're typically northern based or Cali based. When it comes down to them being like HBCUs are typically mainly, unless you got money, these are in-state kids, and they're from the area. Like these are like the almost as FBA as you can get. These are like the country black people. They still come to school wearing the tall tees. I promise you.
The only thing is we can't include like the quote unquote black Ivy League in that conversation. The Howards, the Morehouses, the Spelmans, Hampton.
But that's about where it ends. You probably got about 4 of them.
It's a handful. Yeah, it's not a ton, but there are a handful that are definitely more like, you know, like parents typically got some
like the more bourgeoisie.
There we go. But
you would say like Morehouse. About the Morehouse, Spelman. You would probably say Howard, Hampton,
Fisk, I think, is one of them, and
to me, that's close to being about it. But it's like 60 HBCUs. That's like
the Howard
4 to 5 out of 60.
The Howard president is a non-FBA, and
that's
a lot of but that's probably the main one though. Like G was saying, if you take one of these,
Howard's not the main HBCU. I don't even think it's the biggest HBCU by a long shot.
I wouldn't like when I say main. Like, I say Ivy. I didn't say main. They're just like a private. They're a private.
Yeah, like the
schools.
The bigger HBCUs are like southern based, like Southern University, or you have like the FAMUs. A&T's a huge one as well. Texas Southern, Prairie View, like the ones that are deep South Texas and Mississippi and Louisiana. In Florida, like these are like, again, like heavy FBA concentration, but these are the bigger schools as well. Like the Howards, like these are kind of like
they have brand. I will say from a brand recognition, corporate America does tend to lean toward Howard, Morehouse, Spelman, Hampton, like some of those like more like I don't want to say it's just that private that black bourgeoisie circle of schools. Like they do tend to be at the forefront more than the schools that Q mentioned, in my opinion. And that is one of my beefs with HBCUs, is that whenever there is this push for like HBCU help, it tends to always fall to like the schools who already have the bigger endowments and publicity versus kind of trickling it into the CIAA types of schools. So
I agree, CIAA schools don't.
MEAC too.
SEAC is that SEAC is the other version of CIAA, right? But MEAC and SWAC, like me personally, like Jackson State, Southern, like these are the ones I hear a lot of. FAMU, Jackson State, Southern, FAMU, maybe Prairie View.
Because of Dion, if we being real.
way before then.
Well,
me personally, this is just me personally.
Jackson State is
like what is it? The biggest event that deals with HBCUs is the what is it? The Jukebox Classic, in which they fill out like stadiums 2 to 3 days out. 2 to 3 days.
Okay, so you a band nigga too. You a band.
No, but this has nothing to do with the band. I'm just talking about like the events. Like these are the bigger events. Where this is like a football weekend for like 3 to 4 days in which they're selling out stadiums. Like I don't really know of a Howard comparison.
You an HBCU connoisseur. I'm talking about the people who are just like the what do they call it? The casuals.
Mm-hmm.
We think HBCU. We think with G was the ones that G listed.
Okay. I can't take that away. I think Howard and Spelman for sure.
And then let's not even talk about the LGBT
and Morehouse
infiltration in those universities.
Yeah, it might be a bit too.
You said who?
A&T and Central.
You said Central.
Yeah.
Locally,
I don't like the two. I don't like the two without own horn, but no. All right, so
regionally, for sure, yeah.
But in state, we ain't gonna say locally.
A&T is definitely the biggest flagship brand in North Carolina when it comes to HBCU.
But then right after that, it'll be Central.
I don't know about that.
Maybe you give Winston like the good what you call it, Trey? The good college try. Number 3.
Hey, look,
they might be like the good college try. Number 3.
We on Stephen A. Smith on ESPN every day, and we on. Like,
all I'm saying,
been at campus multiple times. We kind of litty. I mean,
that's cool. All I'm saying is the MEAC gave y'all the boot before y'all.
We should never did that shit. But yeah, you right. We shouldn't have did it.
And I hear people call in from HBCUs all the time talking about how, like, they had one professor they had to kind of run out the paint because he was on Twitter talking about Ikatas and Black Americans don't have no culture and stuff like that. So once you start bringing that into HBCUs, then
but you can get that almost anywhere.
But I'm saying, HBCUs are held to a different standard because you expect that they are some bastion of pro-Black empowerment, and then when they're there talking down on Black people, then at that point, But
that's like, these are isolated, rare incidents. If you look this up,
not really.
This is like, I would love for you to just run down a bunch of these outside of like very isolated instances where one could go to almost every PWI and give examples of racism from not just the diaspora, from the
but that's
what is it called, the teachers, the
but it's different.
What you call the body, but from whether it's like them talking down on Black people for sure, them talking down on whichever culture, and this will be from different ethnic groups in general. Like, these are examples that are isolated to just HBCUs. You could just pluck isolated instances from HBCUs. But going to where you was just that you were talking about LGBTQ, feminism, liberalism, and I'll toss it to you if you still had more to get off inside where you was at. But you think that there is more feminism on campuses at HBCUs? You think that there's a bigger LGBTQ push on campuses at HBCUs than at PWIs?
Yes, I'll say that. Before the trade go, I'll do it because, like, a lot of times on PWIs, there's a bigger pushback because there's a big conservative group.
Oh, that's true.
It's those young Republicans.
No, nigga, at the University of South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm about to say that can only be at University of South Carolina. Like, all the big
conservatives go.
Like, I was in there with fucking old damn country ass, bunking ass.
Yeah, like UNC. All I'm saying is that my sister, my other sister went to UNC. They was tearing down the statues there. Of all, like the white students, the white students was walking around campus tearing the shit down.
And there's also gonna be some white students that's pissed off at them. And there's always there's always gonna be that conservative faction to push back at PWIs, just like what you see in like you have the Fox News segment of it. It's not all liberal at PWIs.
No, but it's mainly liberal. Like, right now, the Republican Party entire platform against higher education is based off of the fact that they are liberal brainwashing machines that are anti-Israel, that promote HBCU and feminism. Like, this is literally what they're talking about. They're saying that all our kids are getting brainwashed with wokeism. This is what PWI.
I'm just saying from real life experience being on that campus. Like there's going to the PWIs. I saw there are a lot of people that have graduated. That like all these.
I think it's true for University of South Carolina for sure.
Like you act like a lot of these Republicans have degrees from these places too.
Oh no, for sure. No, I don't disagree. But what I'm saying is that most generally speaking, when you speak about like what when you speak about college institutions in general, they're liberal, democratic leaning. Like, if you look at who votes at colleges, it leans almost 90% Democrat, no matter where you go.
At PWIs, you said
most
all college
voters are liberal.
Like, this is like not HBCUs. This isn't PWI. This is all college. It leans highly liberal, and which
highly is different than 90%.
The more educated you are, the more likely you're going to be Democrat. That's just the what the data shows. Like that's one of the common splits between like Democrats and Republicans is like these Democrats are these group of college educated folks who can't relate to the everyday working class person. Like, that's kind of the general critique. But like my thing is, like, without HBCUs, like, and we start talking about terms like delineation, like why would we be preaching delineation while also like not supporting our HBCUs? Like, why wouldn't we want to delineate and have HBCUs to then use those institutions to like feed back into the community? Like, to me, it's like if we talking big picture, even if you have critiques about how HBCUs have been infiltrated, I don't think that we should speak about it as a way to say like these things can't potentially be reversed over time, because it wasn't always like this. Like, you know, like things can think like the pendulum does swing. So it's like it can swing back the other way. How long that takes and what it takes to do it is a different question, but the pendulum will swing.
Yeah, we're gonna get our HBCU back. So that's for sure. And when we get them back, it's gonna be like between HBCU and PWI. I'm gonna pick HBCU.
And I'll revise from what I just looked up. It looks like at 80%.
80% of people that went to college vote.
Undergrad 80. No, I'm talking about undergraduates, kids in college.
And we went to school a long time ago too, so a lot of this LGBT stuff wasn't necessarily.
Well, and I was going to say that
it definitely
on college,
like it was today.
Yeah, on college, can't like at the HBCU that I went to, G could kind of speak. Like, were there gay people? Yes. Was there any version of a push for feminism or like LGBTQ rights or anything like that? No, I didn't see it.
And at Winston, you didn't have to push for feminism. The ratio was crazy. Like it was like mad women on campus. Like that's kind of the other thing about HBCUs too, is like it typically, unless you're like a Morehouse or some shit like that, typically it's gonna be more women on campus than men. Typically.
Right. Because men really don't get into debt. Because men also out earn women, even though women got all these degrees and everything. Because men typically will jump into a trade. They're not going to get a degree for some prestige or for status symbol and end with a bunch of debt because they're going to realize, oh, I can't pay
like
for
this. That's not true though. Well, I mean, well, I guess there's a couple things that you are saying that
every nigga on here went in debt to get one.
But no matter what, people. So generally speaking, though, men that graduate college, they still out earn men that don't graduate, that don't get degrees.
Men that went to college out earn men. Yeah. So why is it that? So why is it that black women, every group of women, white women, black women, Latino women, all women earn? I mean, got more degrees than the men do, but all men make more money than the women do.
Well, you know, a lot of these jobs, like, you know, you need a degree respectfully to be a teacher. That's not a high paying,
right?
That's not a high paying industry, but it's a highly educated industry,
and it's highly female.
It's highly female,
exactly.
And I imagine, like, as you looked at the what was it, the engineering degree splits when it came down to racial and ethnic groups. A lot of men traditionally have went into more high earning degree fields.
Exactly.
And especially like when you look at different demographics, I think black people were closer. Maybe it's like a 60-40 split, but I think usually it's like 70-30 or somewhere inside like that space when it comes down to like, if we just looking at STEM fields, and that would kind of explain exactly what you're talking about. They might be the teachers. These might be the nurses.
And if they in STEM, they probably doing nursing at Winston, keeping it a buck. Like if you were at Winston, you were either teachers, some kind of education major or a nursing major. Like those are like, you meet a girl, they were gonna be one of those two things.
That's where all the baddies was at, in that nursing department.
Oh no, Winston had them though. I ain't gonna lie.
It's a great campus, bro. It's a great
campus. They had them.
You just walk around, boy. I'm telling you, it's a beautiful campus, boy.
Nursing department, boy.
Yeah, beautiful campus, boy.
All right. So if let me try and redirect this back to the original question, y'all went to a HBCU sidebar that we said we wasn't going to do, but we went straight to it. All right. What's worse, misrepresentation or no representation? Let's go ahead and like put this inside its actual real context. I imagine this is talking about being misrepresented by the Democrat Party or having little to no representation when it comes down to the Republican Party. Which one would be worse?
In that sense, I'm gonna say the misrepresentation. If you put it like them,
It's better.
No,
you want to have a man that it's worse.
It's worse. Yeah, misrepresentation is worse in the sense of like the Democrats and Republicans, because like I think the misrepresentation is hindering progress, and a lot of the things that might even be good for us or beneficial for us are being talked about on that side. Maybe not for our benefit, or maybe, you know, like I said, we can arrive to the same answer but use different math. and 2 + 2 = 4, but so 3 + 1, and so the answer and the destination is something that's going to be beneficial to us. We don't necessarily, like G said, we don't necessarily have to have the people look like us. We can just use the foundation and can build our own thing. But what the Democrats doing, that misrepresentation, it definitely keeps us from progress and keeps us at a status quo where we always been.
Yeah, I concur. I was listening to Black Alpha Network. He brought up a kind of good point. His point was that white Republicans deal with white liberals' version of black people. Like, if the way that they see white Republicans see black people is through the lens of how like white liberals see black people, and the way white liberals see black people is that dude that was at the inauguration wearing a muumuu with some type of dress or whatever, or some hardcore feminists like getting sassy, talking to like at the negotiating table that way, or somebody that's pushing for immigration over our own issues here, like that being our representation. I see why the conservatives don't want to deal with us. I don't like dealing with those people either. So it's like we got to get them out of the way.
And when you're saying our representation, are you talking about it as like Democrats, as black people, as what did you mean by that?
Like the Congressional Black Caucus, how like the majority of them are immigrants or have immigrant background. And we're trying to get them to fight for reparations that they don't qualify for.
So none of them have FBA lineage?
I didn't say none of them. I said
majority of them don't have like a FBA parent.
But I don't even know if the CBC is like, does the CBC ever talk about like is that on their agenda?
They have HR 40, which is a study for reparations that they've been studying it for like almost 40 years. So I don't know. And it's also, we need a black caucus that has Democrats and Republicans, because right now it's a Democrat tether caucus.
I could agree. I definitely agree with that for sure.
They call them tethercrats.
Down B said both sides misrepresent us. In which I think that's probably one of the fairer takes, where if you look at how Republicans look at black people, it's the idea, and like you could hear straight from like your black Republican and your white Republican, the Ben Shapiro's or the Candace Owens, where they all will say that, almost point to statistics to state that black people are innately criminal, innately dumb, innately, like you can kind of run down the list. And liberals tend to act as if black people are innately helpless and they can't do anything without being handed or, without overt excessive assistance. But I guess I'll offer some push to the conversation and ask, what happens when you go to a side, like you leave a side that misrepresents you, right? But you leave to go to a side that don't care about you.
I don't think the side that misrepresents you cares about you either. And I think, again, it's about, policies. And you don't just leave because they misrepresent you. You'd only leave because the policies would be beneficial.
Do you think that, like, if we just speak inside the form of, like, no longer as vague, but going specific, do you think that Democrats don't and haven't did anything positive for black people?
I'm not saying they haven't done anything, but they haven't done enough for like the loyalty without like tangible benefits. I mean,
okay,
just look at. I mean, there's
not speaking about like loyalty, anything like that, but then going to a side that doesn't look at you as like virtuous and like demonizes you intentionally. I guess I'm trying to understand what would be the benefit from just like jumping ship to a group that doesn't care about you at all either, and like is more overt and like intentional about like how bad you are. in comparison to a group that just hasn't done enough? Again, my answer really, I would say that like we should be independent, but in the way that the question is framed, is asking go from a group that doesn't give you enough to a group that don't give a shit about you.
I like I said, I think the Democrats, like, they're doing stuff isn't because they care about us, it's because they're trying to control us. And I don't think they I think the only way to benefit would be to have to get more good faith out of them. Like, we would do
Okay.
that so they would do more for us, not just because we think that we wouldn't move to the other side knowing thinking that they cared about us or going like
Right.
But like
it's
I know
like
I get that, but if they,
you're doing
but
it
imagine like
strategically.
if we make this like number based, if like we want 10, like we want the number 10, but the Dems are giving us 3, but you go to a spot that's giving us maybe 1, but maybe 0, but the Dems always tell us they're gonna give us 8.
But if they
The
need
Republicans only give they say that they ain't really gonna give you 0, but they give you 1.
right.
Like, which scenario are you still like? Are you
But if
better
the
in?
Democrats lose because we go over there and they need us to win, the next time around they're gonna actually do more to get our that's the whole concept of it. Like, you have to hold their hand to the fire in order to make them like we've been wanting them to do more for years.
Mhm.
And in order to get them to do more, vote and continue loyalty hasn't worked. So sometimes you have to take that loyalty away, and then because they need us to win, like it's been proven that like they kind
A
of
little
like
bit, but
need us to win. So that's why you take it away, because they don't care about us, but they need us, and we
Mhm.
can, and that's how we can hurt them, because we can
but
take that away from them. They will have to come back to us with something better.
does
That's the
just
point.
does jumping ship to a group that doesn't promise you anything? Do you run the risk? This is just asking. Like, do you run the risk of then just eliminating the idea that your vote and your needs are actually necessary?
I mean, it's a risk. I think it's risky just voting Democrat. I think it's risky
No,
staying
but
in a
not speak like addressing the other side. Like you address like staying on the Democrat side, but going to a side in which doesn't care about you, doesn't represent you, and you giving that vote away for free. Not in comparison, because there is always an independent option, but like just jumping all the way to the other side,
We just took the
where
independent
you would
option away
just
the
give
last time.
your you said what?
Well, last time I thought we were just talking about the left and the right. Like, I'd always go independent or more than just leaving for that.
Okay,
But like,
gotcha.
we just talking about left or right,
Mhm.
because I'd always go independent. But we just talking left or right. There is benefit to going
Well, I guess like this. Okay, and I understand what you're saying. Where this talks about what's worse, misrepresentation and no representation.
right.
But as we expand it and we get into like I guess more of the political discourse, is there actual real benefit to a mass exodus to the Republican Party with no tangible benefits given or guaranteed or even like pitched to you? Yeah,
I mean,
I'll just leave it
I
that
think,
simple.
and I'm not, I think some people would argue that would be some benefits, even if they're not promised to us, from the Republican Party, and just like some of the principles that we've been talking about. Even we talking about like the
Like what?
feminism and like the LGBT and stuff like that. If we're trying to not let that be the representation of us, I think there
You
would.
think that LGBTQ represents Black people?
I think they're on the same boat, definitely. Like, I mean, I think it's
Well, you just said like not let that be
not
the
represent,
representation of
but
us.
as far as when it comes to civil rights, they loop that into civil rights nowadays.
Okay,
Is
okay.
that,
So is that what you're talking about?
That's what I'm saying. Like, they've put their struggle alongside Black people's struggle.
But they don't look at Black people as LGBTQ. I guess I'm just trying to make sure you wasn't saying that.
No, I didn't say no. I didn't say that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh, so if I did, yeah.
You say we put the B in the alphabet, Johnny?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't know what you were trying to get off. I was like,
yeah, bro. I'm glad you
Nah,
went.
can't say it like that. That was a mistake.
Yeah, I had to make sure you at least walked all the way through that one because I was like, you can't be saying that one.
Nah, but you know what I'm saying as far as they have tethered along to our struggle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They've definitely tethered along. Man, speaking of that, man, my white liberal friends, they'll get on my nerves calling it Black Pride Month or whatever. But
Black Pride Month.
That's diabolical. That's wicked work. You gotta have a comeback for that, bro. You should not
You let it slide too.
Nah.
I know you didn't correct him.
Nah.
I know you didn't correct him. I know you didn't correct him. You gave him a fist pound after he
said that's a good one, my Aryan brother.
That was it. That was comeback because they were talking about some month, and I was like, "What's that? Gay History Month or something?" And they hit me with the Black Pride Month. So
Black Pride Month is hilarious.
But cute. Like your question, would it be detrimental to go to a side that doesn't have like jump ship and go to a side that doesn't offer tangibles? Yeah, it'd be detrimental. That's why nobody's advising us to do that. We're saying to vote the couch or vote. Just don't. If you vote, right?
No, that's not true. By say, no. You said any vote is better than with you said it's not just like don't vote. You promoted voting anything but blue, which means aligning your vote with a group of people who don't give a fuck about you either, just because it's not.
I've heard somebody also say that Trump might be the best president of all time.
Johnny said that for sure.
No,
Trey also said that too. That's a South Carolina bull thing.
Hold on, wait a minute. I said what?
I don't remember John saying that.
Hey, listen,
I ain't gonna let that put out.
Johnny was on a propaganda tour when Trump got his ear shot, boy.
Oh yeah,
it was some wild clips he was getting.
I didn't say best president. I said something. I said strong leadership. That ain't say nothing.
Oh yeah, man, that's what it was. The best leader. Yeah.
My dog, Johnny went on a propaganda tour. I say, damn.
The album, The Blood, the album tough. You ain't gonna say that wasn't tough, though, bro. Like you ain't gonna say that wasn't tough, bro. Bleeding, that was tough.
He said, then he put his fist up.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
Yeah, it is though.
It's a classic.
I ain't gonna lie. Also, what's hilarious about him is that his State of the Union pictures, and like whenever you see the cover art for it, it's always the mug. It's him like this. I'll be like, that's the official picture for it. That shit's wild. Yeah. But go ahead, my bad, Trey.
Yeah, after that, he got the mug shot in the Oval Office, man. That is crazy. Like framed on the wall. But
imagine if a black person did that. What y'all would say about it?
That would be called some hood shit. That would not
cooning. It'd be like such. That's such a double standard.
There's no black convicted felon getting elected president, bro.
Yeah, first off,
you're not even gonna make it to that level.
Just imagine if like a black person was to do that. The coons and the minstrels and all these different things that get thrown out to them by our black and FBA brothers. But we love when a white man do it. I don't know.
I mean, I think the reason I say that he's got the best president we had in a minute, man, like if he knocks out our misrepresentation, keeps them at bay, exposes a lot of man, he's putting everybody's dirty laundry out in the street. And then the Democrats doing like they always do, they're pushing our misrepresentation, the black Democrats, into the front lines. So they're going to take the majority of the onslaught only because, they're the most helpless. So once they're out of the way, that's going to open the door for us to be able to get in our own representation. And
the boys after you, man.
Yeah. Right. Speaking of Pride Month.
What in the any party?
Yo, what's that?
But dog, you had the strobe lights going on.
Oh, going
crazy. The times you and your white friends be on, but
I know you listen to Drake.
Good night, Trey.
I know you listen to Drake now.
That's
boy.
Crazy, I got.
No. You said you listen to Drake.
Yeah, I know. You don't have those lights without Drake in the playlist. That is a fact,
man, bro. I'm old school. I got
with the bobos, not Drake with the bobos hanging over the banister.
I got the little karaoke John. I got the lights. I got friends. Not all my friends are white, bro. I don't know why you keep saying. But no, shout out.
You just was talking about your white friends. It's because you just said that.
How many?
But I got friends of all races. I got one tether friend.
Damn. So this is somebody that intentionally goes against black people, and you're friends with him.
That's off code.
He's in the group. I'm not the
You
one.
just use the word friend.
And you allow it. You befriended a tether.
No,
And then you
Because
on the
obviously,
internet.
like him being foreign is different than him being a tether. But you
befriend
called
a
him a tether,
and get
and
up
you
on the
were
internet
friends
and talk about
with
that
a tether.
community. That's foul.
I mean, we don't text each other directly, but we're both in the group chat.
But that's your friend, though. That's a friend. You just called him a friend.
You know how
Or
you
were
have
you just like
acquaintances
using the word tether in jest just then?
No, I was using the.
You was using it accurately.
Yeah, I was definitely
Give
using
yourself the
tether accurately.
Oh, so he is an actual
He's
tether.
Nigerian.
He's definitely he allows white people to say the N word in front of him.
Oh, okay.
So I had to tell him I didn't want to hear him say N word no more. And then
do he still be getting it off in front of you?
Pause, bro. But
hey, yeah, that was a great pause. Like that was neat.
I almost feel like you did that on purpose.
I didn't, but that was a good call. I didn't even notice it, but yeah.
Yeah, but I've been able to come through with my tether friend a little bit sometimes, where make him see the error in his ways, type deal. But
where are you from, Trey?
Or he's Eritrean.
Oh, word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
we don't really count those inside like the black diaspora. That's like a little bit further.
Yeah. That's Nipsey and them people. I think
I care about the West Africans, not really like them Northern Africans.
Them Eritrean women be pretty as hell though.
No, they pretty. They just ain't really black. They ain't real black. Those the Myrons, in my opinion. But
your sister fine. I ain't gonna lie.
What kind of forehead she got?
She a Delta. She got it's kind of covered. You can't really tell.
Delta's got the same forehead, nigga. Like
nah.
Oh, this nigga said she's a Delta.
What her forehead look like? She a Delta.
Oh man,
she keep it covered. Like, what does that mean? That's like I can see if you're saying she's Muslim or something like that. But
the hair in the front of, I don't know where it starts. Like,
she put the wig on.
She got the bangs.
She don't got no wig though. I'll give her that.
Oh, you don't really allow that for the girls to appreciate it
too. Like, shout out to the tree. What
when you say good hair, what do you qualify as good hair, and why is it good hair?
I didn't even mean to say good hair.
Good hair that. Yeah,
I like Johnny to answer this one first.
I don't think there's no such thing as good or bad hair.
Oh shit!
I think there's just different textures. That's all.
Good hair is hair does not weave. How about that?
It's just all to say. It's just textures.
What if it's natural weave, human hair?
I think that's kind of weird, bro. Like, you don't know whose hair that came off of, and then they you don't know what process they went through to clean it. But I heard they do pray over to their foreign gods. Like, this is some weird. You don't know if the person is alive or dead. And you just rocking maybe some corpse's head. You don't know if they got it out the drain. Like, I don't know.
What would be worse, the person being alive or coming from a dead person?
Dead for sure.
Those are things I don't even think about.
Yeah,
I ain't. But Johnny, just making sure. So, have you ever said that you have good hair? And if you have said that, what did you mean by that?
Well, that's just what people have said, and I've been programmed. And as I've gotten older, I realized that it's all just hair.
You watched that Chris Rock documentary, didn't you?
But yeah, I mean, that's what I was told. But and then sometimes you internalize it. But then as you get older, you
grew out of that shit. Yeah,
it's just hair.
You would rather have some 4C, right?
I ain't say that, but I like what I got. A good God and made me perfect. So I don't need to have.
Oh, you got perfect hair. What kind of hair do you look at as perfect hair?
God made. No, I'm just saying, God made me in His image. So all hair is perfect. If it's on your head, it's perfect.
Getting Johnny in the spin is always fun. I ain't gonna lie to you. But
say good hair. That's off code, man.
I didn't mean that. My bad.
Oh, yeah. There. She said, "Is it two separate?" G, did you toss in the live chat link?
Oh yeah, let me throw that in there.
Yeah. So we are gonna kind of try and do a small quick little break before we get into the actual question. If y'all do have some commentary on where we was just at, feel free to hop in for a quick second, and then we'll jump into the actual real conversation, reparations, delineation, and kind of really get into the weeds. We'll give y'all about a good 2 to 3 minutes. If y'all don't tap in by then, we're gonna just kind of move on. But yeah, again, the call-in link is now live. What's going on, Fat Boy?
What up, Fat Boy?
What's good? What's good?
All right, but yeah, nonetheless, fellas, feel free to kind of get to where you was at. Well, we actually got a call in. Shout out Quincy. He was in the building last week as well. So again, so far we've talked about, and we're going to try and limit this only to the iceberg questions that we were talking about. We did have a PWI versus HBCU conversation, and then what's worse, misrepresentation and no representation. Quincy, talk to us, brother. What's your thoughts?
Yeah.
What's good?
Hello?
Y'all hear me just fine?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sir.
Actually, I was just trying to join the chat.
Oh.
I wasn't necessarily trying to join in on the call.
Oh, gotcha.
But I was listening earlier to the but since I'm here, the HBCU piece, PWI thing.
Mm-hmm.
I went to HBCU. I'm in Atlanta. Y'all already know that.
Okay.
And my little cousin, he actually goes to the same one right now. It is still majority Black American FBA.
Clark
right,
Atlanta or Morehouse?
I don't want to say which one, man. Y'all know I like to
Okay,
stay
I got you. I got you.
I feel you. But my boy up in the middle with the orange hat, he was right. It is mainly like when we talk about like where a lot of the diaspora goes to, if they go to HBCUs, it is mainly like those the Morehouse, Howards, all of those. Like they don't.
You breaking up?
Yeah.
Can y'all hear him? Yeah. Hey, Quincy, you breaking up, brother? Yeah, we still can't hear you. But nonetheless, I guess if he don't come in the next like 5-10 seconds, we can bring him backstage and kind of continue moving the conversation on, unless we get another call in to pop up real quick. Quincy, you there? Yeah, we can't hear. All right. All right, fellas. Any closing thoughts before we move on?
No, man. I like this no representation on the right and get rid of our misrepresentation. Playing chess instead of what we've been doing. We'll see it, man. I'm so proud of my FBA family right now, man. I'm kind of seeing a lot of this the fruits of this delineation movement. And it's only been we did this topic like less than a year ago, and then already I think that the information has grown a lot since we first talked about this topic, like less than a year ago.
I think that's a good question. Like,
which actually, as you get into it, I think this might be the week that makes a year. Next week,
it is around that time period.
Yeah. I just seen a little like a little reminder or a story or something like that. Yeah, I think this might make a year right here. We might be like a day off. Next week, we'll try and do something actually intentional for it. But keep going, Trey. Not Trey, G.
So like as it relates to delineation, and Trey, you refer to it as a movement, like genuinely, what has happened in the last year as it relates to the delineation movement, just for folks listening too who might not be aware? Like, how has it grown or changed over the last year?
I think 5 years ago, for sure, and then like 4 years ago, just to bring in the context of what you're saying, there was a lot of Black Americans have no culture. We all heard that as kids. We all heard that. Now,
I've never heard that.
You never heard nobody say we don't have any culture? Black Americans don't have any culture?
G, have you heard that? No, I literally have never heard that.
That wasn't like I mean, if I heard it, it wasn't regularly or even repeatedly like that.
But you have heard it like at least once
in my lifetime.
Yeah,
I can show an example. Hey, Q, you remember that time we had the whole argument about Black History Month, and should we argue?
Yeah.
Should we focus on what we've done here in America, or should we go back?
Or should we include like the past?
Yeah, I think that but that the FBA thing is like we was having that argument way before like this FBA thing, and I think that was like.
Well, yeah, I think Trey, that was before like Trey used to that was before Unpacked, but I think Trey was he was putting that battery in your back then. That was like 2 years ago, I want to say. But you threw it somewhere else that we wasn't at. Damn it, what was the question we just had?
How we seen the delineation like show?
Well, how has it changed?
Yeah, how has it changed over the last year or so?
I guess you were asking about progress and like like progress, what progress, and even that like the conversation is just more relevant.
Oh, the Black people know culture. My bad, John. So Johnny, you saying that you heard that growing up Black people don't have culture?
No, I didn't hear about it, but like the culture was included in more African stuff, and recently the culture has been like more just focused in on what we as Black Americans have done.
But you didn't ever hear Black people didn't have culture.
No, not.
Yeah, but like that wasn't something. Who was you hearing say that, Trey? Growing up,
man,
I've heard that on the internet recently. That's it.
Yeah, this is like, and I think I only heard Casanat say that. Maybe
I haven't heard it off the internet.
But that's we just heard Casanat say that, but Casanat
that's fucking Kai though.
But Kai is echoing what they say about us and their foreign communities, because we've all been in like these stores and seen how they a lot of times look down on us. A lot of them say we're lazy, say we don't work as hard. We've heard the not talk about race, and we heard the negative views about Black Americans from people who aren't Black Americans. And I think what happened recently is now that we have the internet gives us the ability to have these conversations more openly. With a lot of that stuff that happened behind closed doors is now being like pushed in our face, and now we're being forced to address it. Pause.
Nobody. I'm not even laughing at you, Trey. I'm laughing at the chat, man. Niggas are stupid, man.
I ain't even.
Ain't even, man. Niggas are.
All right, are we moving on, or we staying to it?
Yeah, we can move on.
Lord.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess let me ask this. In fighting white supremacy, is it beneficial to have allies?
Allies that prove it, that they're worthy of being allies, but you can't just like this whole big tent mentality is why the Democrat Party is trash. Like, we can't keep inviting everybody to the cookout. Like, you got to show and prove that you're worthy of being an ally. You can't just, your melanin don't get you like a ticket. You know what I'm saying? But if you rock with us and you show that you rock for us and you do things to prove that you're not talking greasy about us, you're advocating for us, yeah, we could use allies like that. Do we need them? No, I think we need to look within ourselves and get enough foundational Black Americans on code, and that's all we need. And I think everyone else, once they see the progress, they'll follow suit.
I'll say this: even Israel needed allies, and like everybody, like politically, geopolitically, yes, we need allies. Like, we're not going to like, and yeah, we're not going to win this game if we don't have anybody on our team. I think we gotta have, because we can't outvote them.
But y'all know, everybody don't nobody rock with us though. Like we can't. These people don't like us, bro. Like, we don't need.
I mean, but like I don't think
you don't have to be friends to be
like
allies.
To be like, because I don't think everybody likes Israel, but like they got a lot of allies.
But
and Israel, I don't think a lot of
you think China and Russia like get at the same dinner table.
I don't think they particularly like each other, but it's a business arrangement.
But
and like you don't have to like everybody you do business with, but it can still be an ally.
But these people have committed acts of war against us. They've never done anything.
Who are these people you're talking about? Because when I say allies, I'm not talking about in the United States.
All right,
like,
so
allies will probably have to come from elsewhere. But and those people haven't done nothing to us.
Can you give me an example of anything? Oh, I can think of something they have done to us, but can you give us an example of something they've done for us?
Well, what have we done for them? And it's like, if we're gonna create a business,
what have we done for them?
I think Black he had like a whole thesis paper about what they did.
Yeah,
I think G gave like the
because that wasn't
what was it, Marcus Garvey and Booker T example of Pan-Africanism and whatchamacallit working together.
But you can't come among us and then get on board with what we're doing and then call that a contribution. You're benefiting from an environment that we set up and you're adding to it. Yeah. But I think a real contribution. But no, a real contribution is if you help us from your homeland. Like, why do you have to come eat off of us to come help us? Like, why can't you help us without eating off us? Like, why can't Jamaicans give citizenship to Black Americans? Why can't, like, for free? Give us land, give us priority treatment. Don't charge us tourist fees to go see the slave dungeons. Like, don't exploit, like, do something tangible. Like, you have all this land, give us some. Like, don't come to America, benefit from all the blood that Black Americans put in this soil to make this a place worth coming to, and then some of y'all contribute and then call that like contribution. Like, that's not, you can't come to our table and then bring like a napkin and then think we need y'all. When we already got napkins. Like, you're not bringing nothing that helpful. You're just here eating, just like the white folks, just like everyone else is. Only the difference is the dominant society gets to use you because Black people have, in America, we fought for our for justice to like restorative justice. So if you come from overseas for a better life and benefit from the restorative justice that we fought for, how is that contributing? Like, we gotta expect more from people and not just accept the bare minimum, bro. Like, they get way more than they give. And yeah, like Mr. Parallel said, there's no Pan-Africanism without FBAs. Like, the only way there could be Pan-Africanism is if there's no tribalism. Like, both things cannot coexist. But I don't know, man. I don't want to rant.
But like every African country don't gotta be an ally. We just need a couple.
Which one has done something that is like tangible, like giving us?
Trey,
like
you shouted out a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, because they're actually doing something for themselves for a change. Burkina Faso,
yeah, that's what
Mali and Niger. They just booted out the French, but they got like ECOWAS, another group of African nations, were going to invade them. They were going to invade these countries on behalf of the French. Like, it was a African president who killed Gaddafi, who was trying to send FBA some money. Like, that would have been some Pan-Africanism if he would have really got that money to Farrakhan. But what happened? The Ghanaian guy we voted in the office ended up assassinating him. And then other Black people ended up killing Gaddafi. So, man, I think sometimes if we have this idea of their strength and numbers.
But even in Africa, they have allies, and ECOWAS is like a legion of allies.
But they were about to invade another nation on behalf of Europeans.
I get that, but but the reason they were able to is because they came together and allied. So allyship is beneficial because, like, it's just strategically. Like, I ain't arguing principle, like that was wrong, but strategically, allyship is beneficial because the only reason they were able to do that was because they allied together and they got funding from France.
Look at Haiti.
That's why they was able to do that.
What is Haiti doing right now?
Not much. They ain't got many allies. They got some freedom, but they ain't have that many allies once they had the freedom. And what happened? Like,
oh damn, I guess that is literally the example. Yeah.
Like, when you consider like what it looks like to not have allies in a global world, like, you get your freedom. Okay, you're free. Are you prosperous? Are you thriving, or are you free? And
Cuba would be a better example, I think, because they're cut off.
Are they thriving?
I think they're not living as. There's not like Haiti.
Cuba's not a better
They're
example,
a little better, but they ain't like.
They're a lot better than Haiti.
But I don't think that's a better example of like what we're talking about.
Haiti's bad off. Like it's bad in Haiti, but like it's not good.
Like Cuba,
it sucks in Cuba.
What do you?
I heard people that travel there. That said I know people that travel there that said that it's very quaint.
Like they be drowning in the ocean to get to Florida.
What his name was? Elian Gonzalez.
Yeah, do they still illegally go to Florida consistently? Yes.
And get over here and vote for Trump.
I didn't know Cuba was that down there. I heard some people that traveled there.
I guess this does lead to another question to kind of build off of. Is there a successful model of delineation?
Yeah,
that we can point to.
But us, what do you mean? Everyone's delineated. Like
explain what you mean and what tangible is a successful thing. Like, so he just pointed out 2 unsuccessful models where like Haitian people, they did get their freedom. It wasn't necessarily like delineation, but I guess like they did delineate from the slave masters, XYZ. Like they were able to be their own. They got sovereignty, but they didn't have allies, and that led to from the white people on that island oppressing them, and the world in general oppressing them, and them kind of being like a downtrodden part of half of an island.
That's not an example of delineation, so I don't even know how to even.
Okay, well, all right. So
Cuba's not either. Has anybody ever delineated in history?
Bro, everyone's delineated, but we're the only ones that see ourselves as some generic African, one big Negro. Like
that's not true.
That is true.
We check. All right, so
we say African Americans. We
check a box on the census. Is that not delineation?
But we're not. But why are we connecting with some continent that we don't know nothing about? We haven't been there in hundreds of years. The delineation is connecting with our homeland, our soil, our ancestors that we know here. The same way that these African tribes back at home, they have their own separate tribes, and within their country, there's like 500 different tribes. They are delineated. Like in the Caribbean, they have their own separate nations there. They are delineated. Even in
are you saying that we need our own nation in America, or do we need like our own like grouping to where people recognize us, like as in Black and African American, or like how it's kind of like evolved over because one could make the statement that in itself kind of is a delineation. Like it is us saying that whether you agree with the terminology and who brought the terminology, that's a version of delineation.
No, I don't think so, because
like if you're saying that Nigerians come and say they're Nigerian, Ghanaians come and say that they're Ghanaian. And when you say that you're African American, you're talking about Black people typically. Like that is like what we might not agree with the term, but that would be a form of delineation, right?
Elon Musk is an African American, so no, it's not.
I don't think that they typically would say that like he would check white on census.
But at the end of the day, what he calls him, he
calls himself African American.
No,
hell no. Nah.
But at the end of the day, if our name that we call ourselves, by definition, can include people that are not us, that's not delineation, because it's
okay. So you just want to make sure that we have like a separate word that describes us.
No, I want us to have a word that describes us that can't be infiltrated. Because
even the white, the answer to the floodgates to Jews, Italians, and Irish, like they couldn't just keep the whiteness to themselves. Eventually, they had to open up the floodgates and include the off-whites.
But how did they do that though? They hazed them people into that.
Well,
versus Black Americans, we had this one big tent mentality where we never did that. We never made them assimilate with us.
Gotcha. So I guess if we was to refocus the question again, what are some examples of successful models of delineation? So I guess I can give examples of how like diaspora has helped groups where, for example, Stop Asian Hate speaks about like an Asian diaspora. and they all grouped together to get something done. Not specifically like Japanese or Chinese or Cambodian. It was all Asians and Pacific Islanders. They came together as a diaspora, and they got a tangible pass for them. One could say the same with like Hispanics. Like they'll come together not as Cambodians, Guatemalans, Mexicans, whoever, but they'll come together under the umbrella, under a diaspora of Hispanic, and like they'll push to get tangibles. What would be some examples of like specific delineation where it's just an isolated ethnic group that gets tangibles done for them?
You know what all those Asians have in common, Q? They're immigrants. Like, we don't have to unite.
But they also are like delineated. That was the point that you was making. I'm just going off of like your point.
But they
come together as a diaspora or like a big tent. What did you call it? Like a big tent?
Yeah,
a big blanket. They come over a blanket Asianness, and then they get a tangible pass.
But that's a false comparison because they don't do that in their homeland.
Well, of course, like they're here. We're only talking about in America.
Well, in America, we can't compare ourselves to immigrants because we're not immigrants.
Okay, well, like where would be some examples of successful delineation happening here or abroad? Maybe that makes it easier.
Nobody's had to delineate because nobody else had their identity stripped from them and had to relearn it. And now the part of the delineation movement is us regaining our identity. So you can't say other people done that because they didn't have to. You get what I'm saying?
So I understand what you're saying, but you're saying that nobody has like there's not yet a successful model of delineation that has worked to get tangibles for a group
because nobody's had to do that. So it's like saying you can't.
Well, all right. So my bad. Like you just said earlier that there would like everybody delineates.
Everyone's already delineated would be a better term. Like they don't have to. They were innately delineated, so they don't have to delineate because they have never been amalgamated into some group that's been forced upon them.
But they have.
Give me one second. Well, yeah, I'm about to say like a lot of ethnic groups have went through
most like for example, the Spanish speakers, they don't like all being called Latin or Hispanic or whatever the fuck. Like niggas want to be like, no, I'm Guatemalan. No, I'm Mexican. No, I'm El Salvadorian. No, I'm Costa Rican. Like
a lot of times they look at that shit almost disrespectful.
They don't like to be bunched up together. Same with Asians, right? Like if you look at East Asians, these motherfuckers don't want to be confused. The Korean nigga don't want to be called Chinese, don't want to be called Oriental or East Asian. Like, no, nigga, I'm Korean. No, nigga, I'm Chinese. Like,
yo, G, in order for your example to be comparable to what we have here, you would have to have a bunch of people brought over as generic Asians, and then they separate. But these people that in the countries they come from, they're already delineated. Like Costa Rican, I don't go to Costa Rica and they don't have to in Costa Rica talk about delineating from Mexico because they're already delineated. You get what I'm saying?
Oh. No, because Costa Rican is that's a nation, so that's like national sovereignty. So if Haiti don't count as delineation, then Costa Rica don't count. Like because Costa Ricans aren't all like the same thing. It's a whole bunch of different races in Costa Rica. It's not all the same race. They've got a whole melting pot of different colored people and cultures and everything. So everybody from Costa Rica don't identify. All Costa Ricans, as an example, don't identify as the same thing, even though they're all Costa Ricans. But when they leave Costa Rica and they come to America, they just Costa Rican because nobody gives a fuck what tribe they are in Costa Rica. It's like when a nigga come here from Nigeria, like they don't be like, most times they'll be like, oh, I'm an Igbo. Like, no, nigga, I'm Nigerian. That's what they say because nobody gives a fuck if they're Igbo or an Igbo. They Nigerian.
They know their tribe. That's
they know it.
He's not saying that they don't know it. He's saying they don't
come over here and be like, call me Igbo. Like, they Nigerian.
Now I think among each other, especially with their parents and everything like that, they've had whole civil wars. Bro, they've had whole civil wars based off their tribal differences.
Of course, I don't think that anybody like Europe is like nothing but a big civil war that's happened over like what 3,000 years, pretty much.
Yeah, since the
BC.
Romans, before the Romans.
Niggas
Yeah,
been fighting forever.
Yeah, like it,
times. Yeah.
I mean, that's
yeah,
just human. That's human
but
nature. It's
that's
all over the
literally
globe.
just like a civil war. Like saying Africans they civil war is no different than anything that the Asians did. That the I mean Europe did. That's
Not
all they
something we
do is
did.
civil war against each other.
Not something we did.
Huh?
We don't
Talking
have
about
we don't
like
have,
Black Americans.
Yeah, we don't have no tribalism like that, where we're over here going after like massacring entire families, like men, women, and child.
I think that the argument would be that we can't pretend like gang war doesn't exist.
But the gang, that's not the same as a civil war where you're committing war crimes against entire villages.
Well, it wouldn't be at the level of war crimes, but
exactly.
it is like it fits every single. No, I think that Black people killing each other over like tribal differences, i.e., like where you live at, where you're from, what side of town you're from, like
business.
That is very much tribal and like civil. Like only reason that you're beefing and warring and shit like that is because that like I don't think that it's fair to make that like a representation of all Black culture, but to pretend like we haven't seen this represent itself over generations it would be also false.
So you're saying Crips and Bloods is comparable to Hotel Rwanda?
I don't think that we would say that it's comparable. I think that
okay, then what are you talking about?
No, but you're using the term like a civil war, but I wouldn't say that. And I think and I also
Rwanda.
And I also said that it's not a civil war, but to act as if that we don't have tribalism here in America would be crazy. But like tribalism happens on every level because it's no different than classism. And like pretending like these things are like not innate to humans and not just Black people is a wild statement because of it literally exists inside every single culture everywhere in the world. That's what I'm saying.
It's not. You just said it's not the same as Hotel Rwanda. That's a different level of tribalism.
I never said that it was the same as Hotel Rwanda. Level. That's called making a straw man. So I never said it was the same level. Now you're again making a straw man. You're putting my statement in an exaggerated form. I'm not saying that. That wasn't the words I said, and I was intentional about not saying it was comparable.
Okay, good. Well, we don't have tribalism comparable than they have over there. That's my whole point. Okay.
Now bring this back into the delineation conversation.
Yeah, they don't have to delineate. They've always been delineated. There's no example of a group of people who were lumped all in one group together by someone else, and then they've been pushed. Other people come in, and then they get lumped in with those people too. So that group of people has to rise up and say, "No, we are different." Like that would be like if millions of Japanese people and Chinese people were brought to some European country, and then they brought in some other country after, like later on, and then they gave them the benefits that those other people fought for, and then that group of people had to say, no, we were the original people here, we had this long grievance, and now we're coming together as the people who have this lineage together against, like, no other group had to do with that. What we had to deal with there as Black Americans is very unique.
Right. So I guess right? Yeah, I think that the Black American struggle would be unique. And I guess like, yeah, we can use like the adjectives and verbs to like describe it more. But I guess what I'm saying is so it sounds like you're saying that there is no example of delineation working. And that Black people has its own fight for delineation that can't be included in any example of any other nation. And all the examples of tangibles given to groups have come at them coming under like a diaspora form.
Nah, I think that they were given things as immigrants in a foreign land. Like, I don't think like these. It's just like a
so like the Stop Asian Hate thing. That was like Asians and Pacific Islanders coming together under a blanket Asianness to get a tangible passed for a bunch of group of people that all exist within the same diaspora?
I honestly have no idea how that, because they made it look like Black Americans were the main culprits attacking these.
I'm just talking about the
even though
tangible
it's-
that they got. I
But
don't want to say. I ain't saying I
how-
agree that it should have got passed or anything like that. I'm just saying all the examples that I can think of like a group getting something in America, because we're just talking about how Black people could get tangibles in America. It seems that it has happened under like a blanket grouping, but that's also why it led me to ask: is there a successful model here or abroad of delineation happening inside any circumstance that has led to tangible success?
because we're on uncharted
Okay.
territory right now. Like there's nobody to compare us to. There's nobody we can use as a model. We have to figure this out and just use logic. And I don't think delineation or coming together as a group is what helped these other countries. I think that whatever they get in America has to do with them being the part of the buffer class and the preferred minority, or what they call it, the model minority, to where they get things that they don't have to fight for.
Okay, and I guess so. I'll ask, unless anybody else has like commentary on where we're at. I'll ask. So if there's not a example that you can point to, and I'm not saying that this can't work and it won't work. I guess I'm trying to understand, where does the ideology of delineation, what is it based on, the idea of how this will work and get us the tangible that we're looking at? If there's not like a record of this happening in history and Black people can't point to any example of how this has worked.
I think it's just like basic logic, bro. Like if we can't have people represent us that don't come from our lineage.
That's not the question.
No, yeah. So like if the idea is delineation the idea is delineation to get a tangible. All I'm asking is how, when we've seen like diasporas come together to get examples, this is like, in essence, like not to take it all the way to Pan-Africanism, but that's kind of like a piece of like where like a Pan-African would advocate that you would get strength in like being having allies from different nations and having like, like we've heard a bunch of times like the whole spiel come, asking, has a group, or how can delineation help Black people? And again, is as good faith as possible. You can give me like just an honest, pure answer. How can delineation work? What is the idea based off of, if we can't point to a example of how this has successfully worked throughout America? And you saying like Black people have his own specific thing, but even if we extrapolate it past that, the world.
I'm gonna have to answer a question with a question, but can you think of an example of people coming together as a diaspora and getting something?
I keep giving like the quickest
The
one that I
Asians
can
don't
think
count.
of.
The Asians didn't.
But that's them coming together as a diaspora to get a
Let me try to
tangible.
ask. Let me try to ask the question. The question is. So tell me if we're on the same page. The idea is that we need to delineate in order to put ourselves in position to get reparations. Agree or disagree?
Yeah.
All right. So if that's the thought, the question is, why do we need to delineate as a step towards reparations if this has not been done before? Like, where are we coming up with this idea that, we need to delineate to get reparations if there's no history of delineation leading to reparations, or just any history in delineation, period? Where did this idea come from that's the first step towards
or leading to just a tangible in general? Yeah.
Man, I guess I'll for the sake of argument, because I still stand on like nobody has had to delineate, so it's kind of like a bad faith thing to say that.
It's not like asking like, where's the idea come from? Where's that bad faith at?
Because
it's not like just asking, how do you know that it can like, where does the plan come from in the idea that it will be successful?
Okay.
Like, if we're asking this in good faith, we're not asking like to get more questions. You can just explain it right now.
Okay. So reparations must be lineage based, because if it's race based, it will be unconstitutional. If it is lineage based, that's already an argument for delineation, because if we don't delineate, we can't get reparations. Just to make it like the simplest answer I can think of. Does that make sense?
G.
Yeah, I'm following. So you're saying that basically the only constitutional way to get reparations is if we further delineate as a people.
Right. And if you're not FBA and you want to fight for lineage based reparations or FBAs, we'll monitor you, of course, but feel free, like, come fight for us. But I think that the best thing for us to do is to look within, because I think people that have, what they call it, somebody that got a dog in the fight will be more likely to fight for us, unless we like can offer something like votes or or campaign donations or something like that. But I don't think they're gonna, like, people that don't qualify for reparations from the diaspora are going to do anything for us out of the kindness of their heart. They're going to do something for either their lineage, for other immigrants, or for campaign donations.
Gotcha. And I guess like it seems like we're kind of ping ponging between delineation and reparations. So I'll kind of ask this question to kind of build on the conversation. So obviously we deserve reparations. But what reason does white America have to give it to us? Like, how you say what?
We gotta give them a reason by being strategic, by quitting doing dumb stuff like vote blue no matter who. Like, they're definitely.
But do you think that
yo, nigga, that's not the answer to every nigga's problems and stop voting blue, bro? Like that, like that can't always be the answer to niggas' problems to not be Democrats. Like, it can't be, bro.
That's a big step, bro.
So Trey, I guess like I'm gonna try and stay to the question, but we'll I'll build that to branch to here. Do you think that we can vote our way to reparations?
Yeah, if we vote out people that don't have our interests in heart and hold them accountable, because I've been seeing a lot more of that lately, where people will go to these town hall meetings asking their positions on the hate crime bill, and then make a stand. And if they don't, especially in these smaller cities that it's easy to fund, like some of these people run unopposed, and they're not doing what we need them to do for us as Black representation. So that'll be the easiest place to start.
Okay, but the Republican Party official stance on Black people getting reparations is that it's a no.
Yeah, that's
Johnny was fucking that chicken up. I ain't want to say
yeah, Johnny was going crazy, but
he was fucking that chicken up.
Hey,
boy.
speaking of what is it? Speaking of HBCUs, shout out to Chicken Wednesday. Shout out to Chicken Wednesday.
That gotta be off code, right? You can't be on live fucking chicken up like that.
Damn.
Chicken's good. Just don't do it like that Nigerian dude was doing in the restaurant with the dance and all that stuff, the wide hit dude. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. But yeah,
I saw it too, G. I was like, yeah, let me go ahead.
But staying to the point, if the Republicans' official take on reparations that we don't deserve them, Democrats have shown that they're only going to placate but never give us reparations. How do we force the hand of white supremacy, in which y'all say typically will always be on code, to hold Black people down? How do we force the hand through voting if you're saying that we can get reparations through voting?
Yeah, boy, I had the Kyrie tear.
I don't think we're going to be able to, if we call it reparations, we definitely not going to get it from the Republicans. We just got to like change the language and then make it like lineage based compensation, or replace things for like do things targeting the Black American community. If we lean heavy on our Americanism, I
Okay,
think
so are you moving away from the idea that it has to be cash first, and then you'll accept other different pieces of like incentives? Are you moving
that's
off of that?
of course that's the ultimate goal is cash payments. Of course, it's going to always be that, but I think that doesn't have to be like we don't have to score on first down. At this point, we
Okay.
just need our lineage to be recognized, and we need to.
So
Yeah.
So
I think-
if they're, I guess, just staying to the idea again, if they're repealing back DEI and anything that deals with any version of like equity, any version of race and discrimination, how are we going to force through voting again? And again, this is the majority of the country. They hold all the power at the moment. A group that is kind of against the notion of reparations. How do we get them? How do we make them give us reparations through voting? I guess I'm still trying to understand that.
I think we have to do it very strategically. Like every.
But what will make them like? What will be a strategy that would make them give us hundreds of thousands of dollars per individual to like supersede white supremacy? What would make them do that?
I think you're looking. We haven't scored got any yardage.
Okay.
We even haven't even started the play, and you're talking about how we're going to get a touchdown.
All right, so I know that we've had these conversations previously, and there was a moment where, and again, if the strategy has changed, it's cool. Like just tell me. There was a time where it was like where we want cash payments or nothing. Like this is like our demand, and y'all gonna give this to us. Like we could then negotiate other things, i.e., like no taxes, free college, XYZ. But no, we want cash reparations first. And that's it. But are you saying that now it's moved to what first? What is the idea that you're looking to get through legislation to start the delineation process?
The first step is to have our lineage to be codified in the law somehow. Like maybe bring back the Freedmen's Bank, get that established, and just get everything lineage based. Like that's why it's a good thing.
By the word codified in the law, what does that exactly mean? Are you talking about like to where in census it'll be like a specific check to Black Native American or FBA? Like we'll just use the word FBA for right now. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, there's an agenda to push that right now. They're in these boards with the Census Bureau. There's writing.
Okay, so step one works and it happens. We can now check FBA on census. How is that going to force them to give us reparations through voting?
Okay, the next step is to get rid of our misrepresentation, because right now we don't even have people in those positions who really care about reparations. So all right,
so let's just say that we get all the Black people and just swap them out for people that are pro. What still will make the majority of Congress, the majority of the Democratic Party and Republican and America then be forced to say, I'm going to give y'all reparations through voting, like through voting?
Okay, the next step after we get our lineage designated, codified in law, and then after we get better representation, then the next step is to get some type of not cash checks on the first go around, but we need to get some type of set aside specific for our lineage. So then we can use that as precedent.
No, I get that. So what is going to incentivize or make? So like an argument that like a Pan-African would make would be like when you have the backing of countries or like a diaspora, like you can kind of force the hand, whether it's through trade, through like again, like you see Trump with the tariffs, XYZ. Like there's a bigger power play that can force the hand of the people to do a thing, what would be the thing that would force the majority to just say, I'm going to give you these incentives, even though we're pushing back on DEI, we're pushing back on any version of like wokeism in which they directly equate to like racial and social justice, especially with black people. What would make them give us that if this is already like the trajectory that over half the country is on?
But to touch on your Pan-Africanism argument real quick, I think that if these other countries want to advocate for us, they're free to do that. They haven't done it yet. I don't know if they ever will. I don't expect them to ever do that. But while we're waiting on that to happen, which it never will, we can, once we get people in position to negotiate with Republicans, then at that point, we can hold our vote hostage. And another thing, that if we can get some lineage-based tangibles for from the Republican side, what we could offer them is, it'd be like Lyndon B. Johnson with the Civil Rights Bill, where he said, I'll have these N-words vote for us for the next 100 years. Like Donald Trump, if he were to do any type of lineage-based tangibles for black people against the Republicans who won't even identify us without including LGBTQ and immigrants and all the other stuff, then that will, man, the Democrats might be dead.
So like, so what you're saying is that voter loyalty would be the exchange of them giving us lineage-based reparations.
When you say reparations, I'm lowering it to any lineage-based tangible. If they give us any lineage-based, the bar is so low.
So what will be an example of a lineage-based tangible that we could leverage for voter loyalty, from going from like the Democrats to now being on the Republican loyalty group space? Because I imagine like you believe that us voting loyal in the whole Lyndon B. Johnson thing was a detriment to us. So like, what would they be giving us that would make it to where this could at least be justifiable?
A lot of stuff, man. Like,
so we'll be, like you said, the bar is low. I'm asking, what would be the bargaining chip that would make that they would give us to where our it's like loyalty would go to them. And then of course my follow-up is going to be what's going to make them do it. But first, what would be the bargaining? Like, what would be something that they can offer us just for our loyalty for 50 years?
I mean, like, we wouldn't say you have our vote for 50 years, but that would probably be what they think. But we're not going to promise them our vote. But I think at the end of in their mind, that's what they're working with. They know that the Democrat Party is on the ropes right now. The kill shot, the dagger would be giving Black Americans lineage-based tangibles, because then you really can't say, like, there's really no argument for voting for the Democrats at that point.
So what would be a lineage-based tangible that you're speaking about? Like you said, like you're not starting with cash reparations. So like, what would be one that would be something that Black Americans would want and it would be worth moving over to red?
Say lineage-based opportunity zones, lineage-based investment into whatever community, loans, like interest-free loans, scholarship, anything that they're giving to these other groups at the smallest thing that they're giving these other groups. It'll be the first time we ever got something lineage-based. Like, I don't think you understand how big that would be as far as gaining some momentum.
Okay. And now I guess, again, going to the other side of it. So pretty much you just said, like, whether it's scholarships, free loans, opportunity zones for specifically Black people. They've, I guess, a couple parties have both campaigned on the idea of doing something similar to that, both Republicans and Democrats previously. But maybe you're saying, like, if they actually do that.
Yeah.
And so then the next question would be, what would make them actually care to do that?
Being reelected, they keeping the Democrats down, out of spite. I think Trump would do something like that out of spite, just to add you to the Democrats.
Okay.
Like, I got your N-words now. You know what I mean? Like,
that would make you happy?
If he gives
Being
us
played with like
lineage-based,
that. Pause.
if he gives us lineage-based tangibles, that's the whole point of politics.
But didn't we just talk about having no representation versus misrepresented, and you said it was best to have none?
The point of politics is to get something. So if he gives us something, then that's what we're here for. If nobody's giving us anything, then we shouldn't vote for anybody. You get what I'm saying? Like, Democrats never gave us anything specific to our lineage. So I don't care if he likes us or not. Like, we as black men, we know that the higher you go up the chain, you're gonna encounter some racism with the executives and all that. But you go to work and get paid. Like, politics the same way. Like, I don't need you to like me, but I'm not gonna vote for you because you're gonna try to scare me into it or out of tradition. And when you tell them you're not gonna do anything, like, yeah, he can like Lyndon B. Johnson was calling us all kind of N-words. Passed the Civil Rights Bill. That was intangible. And then they got corrupted with feminism and LGBTQ and gender and all the other stuff. But if we had kept that pure, that would have been a huge win. But we kind of squandered that. Or
was it ever pure?
Yeah, it wasn't. The gender issue wasn't initially part of the civil rights legislation. That came later on.
So the civil rights legislation was pure at one point in time.
Was race based, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it wasn't unconstitutional to do it in the 60s, but now it is.
I'm not sure what I think race.
So the civil rights movement didn't like include white women from the start.
Nah, I don't. Nah, I think black.
It couldn't have been race based, and it's like it couldn't have been constitutional then to make it race based, and not constitutional to do anything race based today. That's all I'm saying.
Let me see, man. I may be wrong about this, but I know that feminism was added.
I think civil rights included race, age, gender.
I know you're not about to say sex because they weren't caring nothing about the LGBTQ.
It was either sex or gender. I'm telling you, I think it wasn't just it was like race, age, disability. It was a few adjectives or groups of folks that were included. It wasn't just black people.
It says gender was added to the civil rights law in 1964, Lyndon B. Johnson. So I don't know if it was originally there, but it looks like it was there in the beginning, offered an amendment.
When did the civil rights thing pass?
I don't know, because it was offered. It says offered as an amendment.
And the civil rights law, the civil rights bill was passed in 64. No, so if it's added the year the shit was passed, then I wouldn't call that I would say it's there from the start because it wouldn't have passed without those things.
Yeah, it looks like you're right, man. It looks like originally in 1964 they added an amendment to in February February they added the part for gender, and it was passed in.
Yeah, I'm looking at this right now
July.
too.
But even before they added gender, it was like race, age.
Yeah, because the Equal Rights Amendment and Equal Pay Right. That's 1963.
So it's never been.
It was anything corrupted.
Cut for us, like the civil rights bill, even from the start, was never like just for black people.
Yeah. I stand corrected. It's never been. It's always been corrupted. So that would make it even bigger if we can get something purely lineage based, because we've literally never had that. Yeah, man. If we can get some lineage based tangibles, bro, like anything to get the ball rolling, we can use that as a foundation. Okay,
so in essence, like to me, I would say that like the new version of the plan, it definitely sounds a lot different than the previous one. I think that it kind of pushes closer to some of the conversations that was being like asked and pushed earlier, where kind of getting the foot in the idea of moving independent or going away to actually push these parties to do the things that they spoke on. So I think that both Republicans and Democrats have proposed specific opportunity zones for Black Americans. They've had like their own Black agendas, XYZ, in which a lot of these things, I think everything that you said for the most part was a part of both parties' agendas. But typically they just campaign on that. So what you're saying is that what's going to make them actually do this part, this step one of the thing? You're saying that it's going to be voter loyalty?
Yeah, and pressure. Like,
but
if
I guess if both parties have offered this already and that's not moved the needle, I guess I'm trying to understand, because what, like, the tangibles that you just spoke about has been offered. I think, like, what is it? Donald Trump's platinum plan kind of has the exact things that you said.
right,
it didn't move the needle for even Black people to kind of go over and vote for it. But
well, we voted for Biden instead when he campaigned on the platinum plan to get reelected.
I mean, Kamala. Well, Trump just won with pretty much the same platinum plan.
I didn't know the platinum plan was brought back to the forefront again. I thought that was just in this last.
Well, no, it never was gone. I think on here we looked up like his Black tangibles. We compared them during the time that Kamala came out with her plan for Black men.
Shoot, well, I think it's on us at this point. Like, we're talking about what can't be done, and we haven't even tried. Like, we have allowed people to represent.
Well, I don't think that, like, I'm not talking about what can't be done as much. Like, I'm asking, like, in the logical sense, how and why. Even though I think that if we're moving from demanding reparations to the idea of things that are based, or like that are lineage based, in a sense of like loans, interest free loans, scholarships, I think that that's an easier ask. My only question now, and I think that's like closer to being tangible, this is just my personal opinion, in the temperature of where the country is at currently, where Trump just did a address where everybody stood up and clapped when he said, "We're ending wokeism, we're ending DEI." These would be programs that would fall under DEI and wokeism, in the sense of like it being for a specific group to help them advance.
I disagree.
What would make, well, it is the idea of getting lineage based restitution is for a push for equality. That's like that. So why are we getting why are we, well, no, I'm just talking about like equity. Like DEI is like it's DEIA, but like these are all separate things that all deal with different ways, and they interact in different parts. But what I'm talking about is not diversity, not like we're talking about like equality right here, which falls under that umbrella. And asking for, okay, so we're not looking for lineage-based reparations to give us equality and make us to where like we're able to be, like I've heard you say before, that if we don't get reparations, we will be a permanent underclass. Which sounds like reparations would be leading us to equality.
But you keep comparing it to talking about DEI.
No, I'm like it would fall under, like, it to white people, it's the exact same thing. Like it falls under that umbrella. Like it's a program that is pushing a minority group to equality or equity, whichever version of the word you want to use. Like that's what it would, like that's what reparations would be in general. Like that's a social program.
I disagree, bro, because DEI includes like too many people for us to make any type of comparison to what I'm asking for the DEI.
No,
I don't like DEI, but I like reparations.
All right, so you understand that like something falling under the umbrella of DEI wouldn't make it exemplary of all things that are DEI. Like under DEI, Stop Asian Hate would like that bill would fall under DEI because of what it includes and what it means. Like,
hey, but Q, what if they don't like DEI because it includes all these non-black groups who benefit first?
I don't think that that's why white America doesn't like DEI.
Then I think we can agree to disagree then, because I think that the reason that
So
I think it made DEI very I think it made DEI very unpopular when you started including the T community.
Like the T community represents so little of the
benefits. They still think black people are getting the benefits, whether it's true or
and
not.
they use black people as the scapegoat over and over. But the T community also is such a small representation to where it doesn't even matter for them to actually stop doing something. But they do scapegoat black people all the time. Like all the white Republicans that have to actually vote for this. As we know, this isn't representative of like what actually happens, but they scapegoat black people all the time with this. They think that black people benefit from it, even though we don't. And they say it over and over and over.
I think black people are guilty by association with a lot of these people that we invited into our big tent. I think that it would be easier to defend DEI if they didn't put the stigma on all this pronouns and stuff like that. That's woke.
All I'm saying is that this is like separating Black Lives Matter, the movement, and like the concept.
Woke is
I'm
not
not
limited
speaking
to
of
that though.
It's part of it though, right?
It's part of it, but woke is also like justice for George Floyd. That's considered woke.
Yeah,
my point.
Well, that's like racial equity. That's a part of like wokeism and they run those two together.
Black Lives Matter is woke. Like all that, like all that shit is woke.
And currently they're anti all that shit.
I agree with what you're saying, G, that they consider all of that part of woke. But I think when we associate, I think it would have been easier to defend DEI if it was lineage based. But when they talk about T lives matter and talking about LGBT lives matter and immigrants, when we start making a big tent, it makes it harder to defend.
But that's way more defending it. But that's wokeism more than that's DEI.
We allowed that to become wokeism because wokeism originally was black empowerment and being
no, but right now we're just talking about DEI per se.
Yeah, I don't get the association between reparations and DEI.
No, I'm saying that would be a social program that would fall under the lens of like equity, like black people gaining equity back into the country for what they put in over years. That's what the idea, the concept is. So if we separate like the idea of needing to group DEI as like this organization, and these are the things that are the pillars of it, and like what the concept actually speaks to, like the I is like that's what it actually is. Like equity is what black people will be looking to get with reparations or with lineage based tangibles. Like you're looking to get restitution to where you can be on equal footing. That's why you say that black people would be a permanent underclass if they don't get reparations. And reparations will help them to be on equal footing.
Q, I think the definition of DEI is so broad that it could maybe includes what you're talking about, but it's also so broad that it means that it's like the definitions are that broad, it makes them worthless. So
okay, cool. But I guess what I'm speaking to is just the concept. So like if we move it away from, so my bad, I'm saying DEI. How about I just speak specifically to the idea that white Republican men are pushing back against equity and equality right now, and that being a thing that shouldn't be just purely merit based. That's what you hear. Like fuck all that equity and inclusion. We merit based in this bitch now, right? What would then make them give us a equity based program and want to give us that?
They're gonna be the first niggas to say, "I didn't have no slaves."
Right.
Like that's the playbook that they're running with right now. So what would make them just be like
slaves?
Well, then I think it's easier to have this conversation when you have people of our lineage speaking to it, and when we're speaking to people that, because a lot of these like immigrant folks, they're not in favor of reparations either, especially the Latinos. So if we are talking to the Anglos and the Black Americans, then we can make the argument that I've even seen people make this argument, and people on the right come around and say, well, dang, they did give reparations to all these other groups. It was lineage based. We're giving all this money overseas. And if they're almost like, if you mean that it'll help remedy a lot of these harms so we can move forward. I think if you have a conversation, you can justify reparations to a lot of these Anglos. But I don't think we've even tried.
Like they actively push back and like call the reparations movements I can just like, let's say we just take Ben Shapiro and like all those guys on the right, like the actual, like, you know, Republican talking heads, like they'll do segments about reparations and why black people need to just get over it. Like they're like really staunch on their opinion on it.
I've never heard of Republican pro reparations.
But like they'll drag on it and then be like, there they go with that wokeism again. Look, CNN, they're back doing that whole DEI and woke thing. They brought this person on and they're talking about reparations for something slavery XYZ, and then they'll bring up the fact that their parent wasn't a slave owner. So like I don't know any people that like they run this exact playbook over and over and over. I guess I'm trying to understand what would just suddenly make them change heart, where like right now Trump is getting standing ovations for pushing back completely against this.
Man, I think that again, we haven't even really tried with this, but also we're not limited to just talking about reparations to Trump, because I think after we let the Democrats crash and burn a couple times, and let them know what we need from them to come back to the table, then we start pitching reparations to them too.
But how would they then still get that across the other side of the aisle?
I think that, bro,
like I'm trying to say, like to me, if reparations was going to happen, there would have to be some version of force that comes with it. It's hard. I guess I'm trying to understand in as good faith as way as possible. What would put, because still, even if you get a part of a side to agree with it, it still has to get passed through like the whole rest of the country, the whole other side of Congress, in which the splits be like maybe 1-2. And what would motivate them to actually completely jump ship and change? Like we just seen Gavin Newsom force the Congressional Black Caucus not to actually bring the thing up because he had to actually like veto it, but he didn't want to actually because he knew he couldn't pass anything because he wants to run for president, and the president can't have reparations on his jacket. Like we just seen white people that claim that they love black people and would even like consider it show in real time that we just playing.
I understand that you say that you're speaking in good faith, but do you see how this might come off as like a defeatist mentality? Because I'm telling you, I'm just asking how. Because I'm telling you that we haven't tried. I went over some steps that'll put us in a better position to be able to make the case, and then let us try that first, and then let's talk about what can't be done. But it seems like before we even get to that point, it's always people they'll find a way why everything's not gonna work.
Or asking, like I'm like right now, I'm just asking how. So
I already told you how, bro. We vote because in the example with Gavin Newsom, we need to vote out the black people that got pumped out and wouldn't make him sign the bill. And because if they had made Gavin Newsom do that,
but he was going to veto the bill. He did just veto the bill.
Well, he didn't want to veto it, did he? Because
he was going to veto it. He just made them not present it.
But he didn't want to veto it. Why?
Because it would look bad either way if it reached his desk. He can't approve it because it would look bad, and if he vetoes it, it looks bad because he's the one who said that niggas can't have reparations. It's a lose-lose for him. So he said, y'all got to kill this before it reaches my desk.
It's like literal politics.
Right, G. Which option is better for Black Americans? The Black Caucus vetoing their own reparations bill, or making Gavin Newsom be a man and do it himself? Like, what's better for us?
I mean, if I had to choose, yeah, you want them to take it up to Newsom and let him do it, but
yeah. Now, after we do that and let the cards fall where they lay, then we can make that step. But right now, we got to get rid of these CB's Congressional Black Caucus or talkers, or they want to call them, out the way.
And I don't even know if that was the CBC, to be fair. I don't think that the folks in Cali was like, they may have been CBC members, some of those representatives, but I think they were a part of some like special reparations committee unique to the state of California. It wasn't like a CBC initiative pushing for reparations in California.
It wasn't, but the black people who were responsible for vetoing, a lot of them are part of the CBC because the higher ups like talked to Newsom. So the CBC was involved. So if we replace,
so some of the members were
some
CBC,
of the members were in the CBC,
but it wasn't CBC.
Yeah, let's not say the CBC was involved, because it's like we said. I don't think the CBC is trying to like because if the CBC is involved, I would expect them to have a presence in the reparations talks in more states than just California. Like, then it should be a bigger push across multiple states, especially Democratic leaning states, because every fucking member of the CBC is a Democrat.
I didn't know the CBC was only like white DC. I thought they were congressional black. There are congressional black caucuses at state level too.
No. The CBC, the Congressional Black, like, so this is what I'm saying. The CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, the one that I'm talking about, is made up of elected officials.
Yeah, so the people who wouldn't push the bill were elected officials, right?
They were, I think. But what I'm saying is that they weren't doing that on behalf of a CBC initiative. You feel?
Oh no! If they didn't do the reparations bill as a CBC initiative, I would presume that they crashed as a part of the CBC initiative, because the CBC, they are like the middleman between the dominant society and us, the people they represent. Like if you're not in the CBC, like the black people that have power and the elected officials that are on the left, a lot of them are CBC, bro.
Yeah, I know. Basically, every black Congress person is a member. You could go to the website and look at the members. I did that earlier. We was talking. It's just a bunch of Congress people from all over. The Democratic, there's not one Republican Congress person in the CBC. And what I'm saying is that it's just like, it's like, you know how when you go to school and then you be like, I'm in a debate club.
Yeah.
CBC, but that's kind of what those things are.
CBC is like, I'm in Congress and I'm in CBC. That's like it's like a debate club, but you in Congress. It ain't shit really. Like,
yeah, that's how all them different
extracurricular. It's just like a club. They ain't doing shit. They not like a real thing, honestly. Like, what the fuck? Like, what do these niggas get to plant their flag on? The CBC. What's one thing that we can say in American history the CBC has done for black people?
But now when you talk about black lobbyists and stuff, if you look at a lot of those other congressional committees, and depending on what specific role it is, there'd be a lot of benefit to being on those committees, because you know that's where them white envelopes be showing up, and motherfuckers be getting paid off to vote certain ways and stuff, and it be based on those congressional committees. Now, when we talk about black lobbyists, that could be a space where, it might be something for us to look at as far as like,
what you explaining is like what you explaining is the hierarchy of extracurricular activities. There's some extracurricular activities that bring the school a lot of money, and then some of them just the chess club.
Exactly.
The CBC,
but you don't gotta pay for black votes, my nigga. They blue.
Right.
They blue as Nipsey, boy. Like,
they own the black community,
boy.
We like the blue plantation over the right one, apparently. Yeah. Unfortunately,
you don't even gotta lobby for the black vote. You know that you know what it is.
You just gotta tell us Trump bad, and then that's all you need.
Boogeyman.
Yeah, man. So, but I think if we had, like, right now, they're trying to get those people in California that vetoed their own bill. They're trying to get them replaced, and I think that is the correct action to respond to this. And I think if we were because we can't even get past this checkpoint if we're scared to even present the bill. So I mean, like, we are far from reparations with steps wise, but I think we're gaining momentum to where we might see those steps happen a lot more quickly. But I don't think we're going to just be able to go demand reparations right now without first replacing our representation, first delineating, first doing a whole lot of other things. But I don't think
And to me, and I keep asking, so once we do all those things, how do we force a people that we say are always on code against black people to now break the code in benefit of black people?
I think we can negotiate that. I think there's a different there's a different set of. I think it would have been easier with this crop of white people than it would have been the one that Martin Luther King was dealing with, because they didn't even want us to have civil rights. Like nothing that's positive for black people is ever.
Yeah,
been
I imagine. I agree that this crop would be a little bit better than the previous crop, if we're talking about like the 1960s. But like I don't know how far that's moving the pendulum though. Especially like if we're going back to how you tend to speak about white supremacy and always being on code, especially explicitly for making sure that they stay on code against black people's elevation. And that's like, again, like when previous time that we've talked about this, you said that Democrats and Republicans are two wings on the same bird, in which that bird is still intentionally making sure that they keep black people down. And this is why I guess I'm trying to rope it back to the idea of how do we get reparations just through voting then, if there's no force involved in it?
Like you said, white people will get on code against us, but I think the only reason they're able to do that is because we're not on code. Once we're on code, I don't think, no matter how on code they are, I don't think they're going to stop us. The problem is that we have so many distractions.
So if black people get on code, then white people would just be like, you know what, y'all deserve reparations.
Nah, bro, like, come on,
like, help me understand. Like so what you just said was that if we get on code, then they'll be likely to give us likely to adhere. Like, what do you help me understand what you say?
All right, so look at the term. I want to replace one term you said. You said white people will say, okay, here's reparations. Let's replace that term with we'll be able to maneuver and negotiate and strategically work our way to reparations. They're not going to give us, like, just give it to us. But I
understand that. And that's that's the crux of my question. So I understand. So we keep getting tied up on this exact same spot. Where I understand what you're saying is that black people move in, like, sometimes you might say like be independent or move to the right. Matter of fact, right now you're making an argument for black people to move to the right, correct?
No, to the center.
All right, so black people just move to the center.
Be independent.
What then would make them just be like, you know what? 13% right here, y'all in the center. I think maybe 8%, 7 to 8% actually vote. So this 7%, to get you on my side, I'm gonna give you reparations, or I'm gonna give you tangible lineage-based things that like start walking into that. What would make them do that?
Black people vote as a block. And I think if we got tangibles on the table, then whoever gave us if Trump was like, you think if Trump offered tangibles like lineage-based stuff for black people, you think black people would be like, nah, I'm good. Yeah, a lot of the old heads would. The old people would probably be like, it's not.
Well,
because I even asked.
I think that black people would love it, but I guess what I'm asking is, what would make Trump, who's Mr. Anti-DEI and woke, do something that's a social program for black people specifically?
But I think,
and then have like all of his constituents who are dug in on meritocracy over everything, and anti-wokeism and anti any version of DEI. What would make them present that?
Give us lineage-based tangibles?
Yes. Yes.
But
what would force their hand to do that?
What his constituency? His constituency was cool when he gave all that money to HBCUs, right?
I don't know if there was cool.
I mean,
but
he did. Nobody was tripping. It was okay to do that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, it was. He did it.
I think if he calls it reparations, it'll tick him off. But he did something that was lineage-based tangibles, but he didn't call it reparations. I think we might be able to work that.
Okay,
I'm very confident we might be able to do that.
Yeah, and what you're saying is like giving funding to public institutions that are
lineage-based,
that are black owned, even though we already kind of understand so much of the funding already comes through the government. Then that, yeah,
we gotta make it lineage-based. Yeah, lineage-based funding.
But I guess what I'm trying to understand is that I think them giving funding through public programming in which they already have been giving funding to for hundreds of years almost, in comparison to then specifically isolating black people and giving them funding. Like I'm still trying to understand what would make them want to do it. Not that they shouldn't do it, not that they can't do it. I'm just trying to understand like what would be the incentive for them to do it. We're already speaking about they're bringing in, like the Dems was trying to bring in more Hispanics. The Hispanic, I think, like demographic wise, they've jumped over. They're the new buffer class. They're trying to replace our votes. XYZ.
Yo, can I interject right there real quick,
Yeah.
Q? Because I was looking something up, like, which I do think, like, because I do feel like that point right there might be arguably one of the most least talked about points that's gonna be causing the most friction as it relates to getting reparations moving forward. Because 30 years ago, we were the clear-cut number 2 minority in the country, not just in terms of population, but also voting power. But if you look at today, looking at the 2024 election, the Hispanic voting bloc was actually more in terms of eligible voters. I don't know the raw numbers of who actually voted, but in terms of eligible voting population, there's more eligible Hispanic voters than black voters in the United States. And that's only going to increase at a rate that's significantly higher for Hispanics that's relative to blacks. Like blacks aren't going to see a rapid increase in our population the way Hispanics have seen, say, over the last 20, 30 years and will continue to see over the next 20 to 30 years. So I think that like reality of how they're like mixing up America, like I said, I always talk about how they make that census, because growing up, they didn't ask us, were you Hispanic or not Hispanic? That started all of a sudden, like right when we got out of college. I don't know if y'all really remember that, but like when you start filling out that paperwork, back in the day, there was no question of if you were Hispanic or not. There's a reason why they're tracking that so heavily before they ask you your race, because they're really trying to get an idea of, like you said, creating that buffer class so that they can continue the new modern caste system.
But then one could argue that they're attempting to create a new secondary, well, just a new buffer class, which would be the global elites that will come in through, or the financial elites at least when you start talking about the gold card. And who that starts to bring in, the H-1B, and who that starts to bring in.
I mean, I don't know if that would be nearly as detrimental to the black community as a bunch of people who do this low skilled labor competing with us.
Well, no, like you're making like a different point in which like it's not like lined up with it. So we're just talking about the idea of like immigration and like population and them looking to replace us in our vote through buffer classes in general, whether that's through like the Dems and some of the illegal immigrants and different shit like that, the Republicans and them trying to get more Europeans, South Africans, and Indians over here. Like there's been intentional on both sides of bringing in buffer classes to where it minimizes the black vote. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree that both sides are like, they're rich people love cheap labor. Like I can't disagree with that, but I do think that,
and people that's going to vote their interests as well, or their way.
I think like that's why secondary. I think that's a secondary priority. The first priority is their pockets. Like, because either side, they're both white supremacists on both sides. So
hey, let's pause real quick. Hey, shout out to Fat Boy. Y'all heard him. Hey man, drop some super chats in the mother. Yes. And again, as y'all see, All the guys, they got their cash apps up there as well. We're streaming on both channels.
Shit.
I'm not sure which channel that you're looking at, but yeah, super chat on both. Just holla at the guys. You know, we getting into the weeds of this reparations conversation. But yeah, Trey.
Hold up, I put too many S's on my name. Oh, I gotta change.
Oh yeah.
Somebody
let me try to run down these chats real quick so I can leave all y'all.
Somebody getting blessed.
All right.
Let me go to the God, it's a lot of chats. I'm gonna just start with the last 10 and then I'm gonna get everybody else up here. But yeah, you can keep going.
Man, I was the only reason I brought it up in comparison because man, we dodged a serious bullet, bro. Because Kamala Harris was gonna I think it was like 8,000 per legal border crossings per day or something like that. They were giving them apps to fly in and just helping to get over here, funding them, and then they were about to naturalize them too. Versus now we have the lowest border crossing. It's not. They've done so much damage to last administration that I don't know if what this new administration is doing now can even is even a drop in the bucket. But at least the bleeding stopped. So I just say that to add to, as far as the changing. I mean, also the whole push, like Democrats love pushing the Planned Parenthood on us. So I think a lot of our population stagnation has to do with our community having the highest level of child deletions, right, in the womb of any group versus the Hispanic community. They don't do that. You know what I mean? So that'll help our numbers as well.
Nah, okay. So we got 3 right now in the back where I'm gonna start bringing up guys and we can continue this conversation. It seemed like we kind of got pretty much the conversation of today has been can we vote our way into reparations and what would give white supremacist America of reason to actually give us reparations. Our guy, he's back. Shout out to Quincy. Talk to us, brother.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right, I'm on my laptop. I'm on my laptop this time, man. Sorry about earlier.
Oh, no worries.
All right, so as far as that Cali situation, it was the CLBC, which the Cali Legislative Black Caucus, of which many of those are members of the CBC, right? And the big problem with that, I'm circling. I was listening to man, took some notes. The big problem is the CBC don't represent Black America, right? Like y'all said, they are members, but they just join a group and they call themselves the CBC, but they don't necessarily represent Black America specifically. They represent the voters and the constituents in a district. Like Karen Bass in Cali, she's part of the CBC, right? But most of her district is Latino, so that's what she represents. You even have what's your girl the up in Minnesota, the
Muslim, yeah.
Right. She's a part of the CBC, and she's made it clear that her constituents are Somalians. So other Somalis in Minnesota. So that's one of the main problems is that the people who we think represent us, they don't represent us, man. We don't have any like big group in Congress or a big group in the government that stands 10 toes down that actually represent us. The second thing too is that, like, do y'all think Black politicians fear Black voters? Like, y'all think they like scared of us or worried about us doing anything to punish them?
They're starting to be. Like they weren't. Yeah.
Right. But even still, at this very moment, I don't think that they are. I think that they know no matter what, we all Black asses go out there and vote blue no matter who, no matter what, right? And my man mentioned what's your name in the middle with the orange hat, man? I keep saying
G.
Okay, G. You mentioned about the Latinos, right? Now, granted, you're right. Numbers wise, Latinos do outnumber us, right? But the catch is like what cities and states do like that. That's the real strength of Black voters, like because we kind of over index in the South, especially in big cities. Like that's how we could deliver Georgia, over to blue if we really got
If
out
we
there and voted,
actually come out there and vote, yeah.
right? So, but the big thing is, unlike Latinos, Black people, we pretty much vote majority Democrat. So we already in hand. So they know. Democrats know they don't need to do anything to keep us. That's why Roland Martin is always complaining about not getting any ad dollars. They're not gonna pay Roland Martin. Why? They got our vote anyway, right? And that's why pretty much Republicans, they starting to, but not really. But historically, in the last few decades,
No, we are just a garnish on the plate.
Right. But Latinos, the reason why they go, like you said, the reason why they go hard for Latinos is A, because of the numbers, but B, the main thing is, I'm sorry, really A is they're not over indexed on one side or the other. I think maybe like 55-45, sometimes 60-40, depending on like overall nationally, but they are split in their vote, right? So they gotta divvy something out. They gotta go out there and meet them where they at. They gotta, speak to their issues directly because they split. Now, you better believe if Latinos was voting 90% blue, like black voters do, they wouldn't be getting any attention. They'd be taken for granted, just like we take it for granted.
No, I think they're about 60 to 65% in that range. They vote Democrat is what I think it tends to be for the Hispanics.
Okay, like I get cool.
Yeah.
I know it fluctuates. But they're definitely closer to the middle than we are, right? So for me, I think, my man, you asked like what will make white America, what will get them to finally say, all right, let's do it, right? And so to answer and kind of not really answer, as far as white America go, I think they go always. They never want to give us anything. It ain't gonna happen with them, right? It got to happen with the politicians. And it goes back to, do politicians fear black voters? And they don't. We got to make them scared. They got to be worried about, if I don't vote on this, I can't go back to my district and and show my face. I got to be worried about people showing up at my doorstep. I got to worried about not being voted back in, or getting voted out. And they just don't have those fears at all when it comes to black people. The only time they would even remotely have that fear is if another black Democrat comes in to take their spot. But it's never like we going over to the other side and voting red. We just go vote for another black Democrat. So overall, it's the fact that we are it's called a captured vote. We're a captured vote, right? That's really why we won't see change. So I don't. So like I said,
I guess leading you to almost a yes or no really quickly. And again, we gonna bring you back up. We got, I think, 4 in the back at the moment, but then we'll kind of have a good kind of conversation. But can we vote our way to reparations? Would you give a yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. We'll bring you back up, brother. Appreciate it. We got another favorite. Again, if you want to skip line, all you gotta do is turn the camera on. The guys in the back. But we got one of our favorites. Mr. TBI, talk to us, brother.
You finally didn't say G. Q.
Huh?
Hey Q. Hey, bring me up last. I gotta do something real quick.
Oh damn. Okay.
Yep.
You finally didn't say it. Q.
I didn't say what?
The in the back thing you always
say. Yeah. I've been attempting this episode to not put the end on it.
Yeah,
it just saves me a pause. It saves me a pause every time. All right, we're gonna pull up the next guy. Steve, talk to us, brother. I'm gonna click the timer and get to it. What's going on, bro?
Hey, so I think when people say the black vote is a captured vote, that is much more nuanced than that. Because the black people who do tend to come out and vote for Democrats all the time, they do get something. Because it's a very specific class of black folk who show out time and time. The HBCU grad, the boule, the nonprofit person. All of these, it's a certain class of black folk who continue to vote for Democrat because they do get something. All of these corporate DEI programs, that benefits we literally praise and getting like one person to work at a corporation. So the people who don't vote, because 50% of black people don't vote. So this whole capture vote thing is like kind of weird when 50% of us don't even like participate in the vote at all because we so just
true.
apathetic toward.
But to be fair, America don't vote almost at like a 40%. Like it's voter apathy across America, not just.
But
black
the
people.
stimulus,
go ahead.
The stimulus comes from what type of people are voting. If the majority of the people who are voting are black, or people who are on Social Security, who benefit from these scholarship programs for black people, or benefit from these corporate initiatives to get a certain class of black folks in DEI positions, then those black people are always going to vote for Democrats because they are directly getting something for Democrats. They don't care about the rest of the peasant niggas at the bottom. They really could give two fucks. Because these is the we can't sit up and say they not getting nothing. Roland Martin is sitting up here telling you he got $350,000 from the Democrats last election.
Damn, that's
he directly got something.
No, this is a fair nuance for sure.
So this is the reason why they not responding is because the people who really need reparations, the stimulus, if we saying we gonna get it through the vote, those people are not voting. The people who you can go look up any statistical numbers right now. The higher you are in education, the higher you are in income, you have a higher propensity of voting. Those are not people who are necessarily struggling. So they have very different views of what's important in them. They don't think reparations is important in them. The people who reparations is the most important to is the people who are the least likely to participate in the franchise. So we would never get reparations if the people who really need it don't even participate. I don't know.
No,
it's a fair.
I don't have a rebuttal right now. Trey, do you got some pushback? I think that's spot on.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, especially for what you be saying in the chat, Steve. I thought you were gonna come out here with some BS, but I would add that
the chat is for funny. Do you know the chat is for funny? Come on, let's be real here. But Trey, you my guy. Come on, man. I stayed up on here too long the other time talking to you, man.
You got it, Steve. You also got to understand. Trey hits the reboot daily. Like it's not even on here. Like we could have like a 9-hour debate in the chat, and the next day reboot. He gonna start off at the exact same point every time.
Yeah, ain't no hard feelings and everything like that, man. I like going back and forth with everything. Nobody press about it,
But I do think black politics are captured by a certain class of black folk who are getting something, but they don't necessarily care that because they selling you.
What do the boule get out of voting Democrat? I'm curious.
Who you think pushing these corporate programs or DEI initiatives?
So what is boule in your opinion? Like let me ask you that. What's the black boule?
In my opinion, okay, obviously boule is a larger term, but typically these are people who
we speaking black boule.
Part of the fraternity, might be in a nonprofit world, might be in some other type of affinity groups that's not necessarily associated with college fraternity. When we say black folks at the Democratic base, those are really the black people who are the Democratic base. The regular dudes who not a part of that is not the Democratic base of black folk. There's a certain specific.
I agree with you. I just wouldn't consider your definition of boule my definition of boule, but I do agree with your point.
Everybody got a different. We could call it a upper class or whatever. The strivers, it don't matter. Whatever we want to call them, those are the people who control black politics. And reparations is not a focus of theirs because they are getting stuff. They are seeing right now, if you go look at the wealth gap in the black community, the black top 10% versus the bottom, it's the biggest intraracial wealth gap out of all races, right? So let me break it down. So when you
I understand what you're saying, but I would just imagine because of the white billionaire class and the fact that the top what is it? The top 10
So
10%.
we only considering black folk. We only.
Oh no, I get you. But I'm using that comparison as well with. And again, I'm gonna just look it up. I completely understand what you're saying.
So
I'm gonna just look it up to confirm or whatever.
So
we ain't got it.
The black intraracial wealth gap is the biggest out of all races, right? So that means our top 10% is a farther away from the bottom 90% than any other racial group. So obviously they are getting something out of the ordeal. Because
I would argue the wealthier you are, the more beneficial it is to be conservative, not liberal.
No, not necessarily. Because when you say conservative, you could be talking about tax policy or whatever, but a big push of the civil rights movements was to get set-asides for black. So, for example, when Reverend Al Sharpton doing his whole thing and getting his money from corporations, typically a condition for Reverend Al Sharpton is y'all need to hire some more black executives. What class of people do you think they choosing black executives from?
But you think that's what niggas are going to the booth and voting on?
And then how like the minority of black executives that would exist as well.
Again, it's executives is just the extreme example. There's a whole bunch of ways in which we do pork and barrel politics in the United States of America.
Shoot, HBCU contributions is an example because that money
HBCUs, nonprofit money. We just saw USA. That's a whole program that's used to fund all types of programs that's kickbacks to people that you owe. So if you want to open up an NGO over in Africa somewhere, well, if your best bet is to be in bed with the Democrats because they're gonna give you that NGO money, that's who you're gonna go vote for. And what ends up happening is these groups are influential. And so it's not everybody, but they did influence everybody else in a circle. And those people are typically the people who vote for Democrats because they are getting something. And it's something that aligns with their class interest. And too many black people think we all just because we black, we're supposed to agree. Some of these black folks is traitors and will sell you out for money.
For sure. Hey, Steve, we appreciate the perspective. Stay on. Yeah. Really, really good POV. We do got probably look like 3 or 4 more in the back. So I'm gonna start bringing them up. Fellas, as y'all see, we got the timer on. Again, if you kind of get into it, we'll kind of let you run over just a little bit, but I do want everybody to get their piece off. So I would say we're going to try and stay as close as we can to the timer. Up next, we got Kofi. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, what's up? Good show, good topic. Love the part two. Part two. What's up, Johnny, G, Trey, Q? What's up?
What's going on?
So I have a couple of statements. I'm going to run through it real quick, and I'm going to end with a final question. One of the things you were talking about Haiti, saying that Haiti doesn't have any allies. The reason why Haiti doesn't have any allies is because the United States government made a concentrated effort because of their having freedom to do an embargo on them and pretty much have them be on their own. That is the price of freedom. So what's going on in Haiti is pretty much the price of freedom of what's going on right now. And you guys also mentioned that there's collaborators there also that, is trying to destabilize Haiti. I know a lot of Haitian people from pretty much the older generation to the young generation, and this is the problem of what's happening, right? So it's not like United States where, okay, if if nothing happens, then you could just fall on social programs and things like that. No, they are totally on their own. And I salute our brothers over there because they're paying the real price for freedom, right? They're not comfortable.
Talking about Haiti?
Yes, sir. Talking about Haiti. They paid the price for freedom.
Does the price include the reparations they pay back to France too?
Yeah, that's also a goal of it. But when you're every day you're trying to figure out how to get control in your society and things of that nature, and you have the West and other European powers trying to undermine the black people of Haiti's power, then reparations is on the table, but it's not an absolute priority. You're in a comfortable position to say, well, I want reparations while your belly's full. You got a full belly, you got a roof over your head, you have certain standards of living that is okay for you. So you're comfortable. Those people don't have that. They have to provide that on their own. It's different. They don't got a Walmart, a Costco's, or anything like that to go to. They got to get it in the mud. So moving on to my next point is Trey admitted you were having a conversation. You admitted of you had to be you admitted being African, Trey, because you said, hey, we had to relearn who we are because we were forced. We came here. We had to learn. We had to, pretty much be who we are again because we don't know who we were when we got here. So you admitted to being African.
I think it's a very loose interpretation.
That's good. That's good.
No, that's not.
And then you also pivoted after you kept saying, vote blue no matter who. When G and Q checked you, saying the Republicans aren't even entertaining in giving black people anything. They're not entertaining giving black people anything. They're doing DEI, to Q's point. They're doing DEI. They're replacing a 4-star, a 5-star general with a white 4-star general. They are against Black history. So I don't understand Negroes on here dumping on Republicans like they're they're worse than Democrats. Democrats is not taking away Black History Month. Democrats is not getting rid of Black people that's been in government for decades saying DEI. My last point, and I'm going to ask a question. I don't understand you guys talking about. I understand that you can vote for reparations. I kind of do. You can vote people into reparations. I do understand that, but you guys talk out of both sides of your mouth where you're the best thing ever. We're fighters. White supremacy this, white supremacy that. You're the best, but then you can't vote anything in for black men when it comes to reparations. And my last
working on it.
Last question is a rhetorical question. Was a question that you guys did not answer last time. Why no effort to run away from white people and white supremacy, but you make a concerted effort to run away from black people? Why? Because you need white people to give you reparations. That to give you reparations, right? There's no effort for that. So you can't delineate from white people because you eventually need them. So it's easy for you to delineate from other black people because you fear that white supremacy and white supremacy, because you say, oh, we can't be all one big African, we all can't be all this other stuff. I think it's the whole Uncle Ruckus thing. If you know anything about Boondocks, don't trust them new niggas over there. They're different. So I understand the reason why you don't make a concentrated effort with the same energy to delineate from white people. But this is all a part of post-traumatic slave syndrome. It has to do with anti-blackness, anti-Africanness, and I did a show about the same thing on my channel, and I yield the mic. Thank you.
Gotcha. Kofi, you are my dog, but I will say, I don't think you know what a rhetorical question is. You made a statement.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Only because they didn't answer it. They ran from that question last week.
You asked the question, then gave your answer to it immediately. All right, brother. I'm gonna take you to the back.
Cool.
Straight from South Africa. I heard they sending us the bad whites. They sending them to America now. Talk to us, Kamu.
Yeah, now we made a home for them Africans. They coming over here now.
The Africans.
Yeah.
Or Africans.
Trump said the good whites is coming. Them Elons. They sending they sending the good whites.
Required. They can just come right over.
Yeah. They trying to get a couple more Elons, I think.
No, but it's cool though. They don't even want to come because they eating all y'all lunch so good, bro. They fat.
No, you.
Kamu, talk to us, brother.
How's it, fellas?
Good.
How's it, fellas? No, you guys should take those guys, man. We are tired of them. If they come back here, we're gonna throw them in prison. We are tired of them. You should take them. I have a question for all of you guys in the panel now. So you do know that G20 is coming to Africa this year, and the theme for African Union in 2025 is reparations for African people and people of African descent in diaspora. So would it be? My question is to the rest of you guys, not only Trey. Do you think it's ideal for African Union to be negotiating for your reparations, or do you think it would be perfect for your own whatever political organizations, your NAACPs and Congressional Black Caucus to negotiate for your reparations. Compromised as African Union can be, do you think that they carry the legitimacy of negotiating for the rest of Black people, or you just want to be secluded and isolated and do your own thing?
Yeah,
That's
and
really
this
my
is like
question.
it's the ally
Because,
question. I guess this will probably be
well,
best fitted for Trey, I imagine, unless somebody else has like an outside POV that would say that Black people shouldn't ally and help use that as leverage to help with the fight for reparations. Johnny or G, do y'all have like an outside opinion?
No, I'll let
Well,
you
I
go.
think
Okay.
the idea. So if I understand this correct, Kamu, the African Union is going to be kind of like the EU, where it's like free trade, one currency,
absolutely.
similar to that type of model, right?
Of course.
Okay, so
but we're still working towards it. We're not there yet.
correct.
EU is quite ahead. Yeah.
Correct. Okay, so that would be one of my things, right? Because I'm looking at some of the lists. And so my question would be, I think it would be very dope if, say, the African Union was a real thing. One, I think that would be dope. Just period. That would be a dope thing to have. Two, I think it would be even more fire if the African Union was a very like what established himself as a clear ally to Black Americans. I think that would be like even crazier fire if they were like, you know what, we like how you said they want to help get reparations, not and then if they did that for Black Americans, Black Caribbeans, Black South Americans, if they came with that type of energy to say, you know what, we gonna help all
And I
of
think
our
that's what he
quote-unquote
said the plan
diaspora,
was.
I think that would be super fire. I think that would be
but
super
their
fire.
theme, but G, they specify with their theme that reparations for African people and people of African descent.
But here's the thing though, they gotta cut some checks too. They gotta cut some checks too. They can't just be the African Union making these other countries talk about you owe these niggas some bread. They owe some bread too. So they should cut a check. It should be paused.
So you saying
the
the African Union should be cutting checks to Black Americans?
For sure, if they really want to be about that business, for sure. But the thing is,
explain the why to that as well.
Here's the thing.
Are you just saying like just based off of the idea of like their role in the slave trade, or like what
correct,
be like
correct because at the end of the day, none of this exists without something being rooted on the continent that's collaborating with Europe in some way to facilitate this trade. But my other side of that coin is when you talk about the African Union, it's so many countries. All of these countries weren't necessarily the ones participating in the transatlantic slave trade that would have to do with the Africans that were dispersed from North and South America and the Caribbean. So,
and that was going to, I guess, be my rebuttal. So I was going to say, how do you?
I can see the argument against it, but in my opinion,
but to me, I would imagine if there is one global African currency,
they should break us off from stocking that or something. Trust.
No, that. But then also, if we're then talking about exports that comes out of Africa, and the idea of being able to leverage, even if we go to Trump route and say like tariffs on exports to specific countries until you give X amount of reparations to all people of the diaspora that were impacted by XYZ. To me, that would be an ideal way of actually kind of like going about it and getting some version of
if they own their
force behind an actual reparations movement.
They don't own the industry.
But I think there has been there has been like minimal attempts. They may not be grand or massive, but like there has been attempts to extend the hand. You see, different countries like Ghana giving free passports for especially Americans. You can go to Ghana today and get yourself a passport. It's not necessarily. I don't think it's a program of African Union, but there are separate nations who are extending the hand. But I do agree with Trey on the fact that African Union in and of itself should set some sort of a trust to help finance or repay yourself.
And look, they could cut the check in the Afro-European euro money. They ain't even got to cut it in American dollars. Give me that currency over there. I can make it work over there. Like you can give me some land over there. Like give me my 40 acres over there somewhere that I can take in some fuck. The thing about Africa, they got some doper ways to compensate, not just like on some American dollar shit. They can say, look, we got land for you to develop, nigga. Here you go. It's yours. Like boom, boom, boom. Like
that would be
if Africa Union was coming to the table like, nigga, we got some plots for you, bow, bow, bow. This is your shit. We can make it pop, bow, bow, bow. And we like, yeah, like that would be very fire, in my opinion.
Straight up.
Okay. All right. Kamu, I'm gonna take you to the back and bring up the next person backstage. My bad. Take you backstage and bring up the next person backstage.
Hey,
there we go.
Man, I'm shocked, bro. Hell
yeah. Trey taught me something. Who would have known?
Shocked at what?
Like you want to hold them accountable for like why reparations for slave traders? You don't get. I know the slave traders already got their reparations.
But I'm just not an extremist. Like I'm not an extremist. Like I try to speak logically. I'm not an extremist, but I think that's justified.
Talk to us.
An extremist, but okay.
Yo, what's going on, everybody?
Nothing much.
Yo, reparations is, we talk about this every week, reparations, but, and then you speak on these people got this, these people got that. But the one thing that I don't hear anybody saying about, because why is it that get a lobbyist? The Jewish people have a lobbyist. They actually have a lobbyist that's, they go and talk to the people in Washington and they get for what they want. Nobody have a lobbyist to go and speak to these people. You're talking about voting and all this stuff. That's how everything works out with the lobbyists. But no one is even speaking on that.
That's Johnny platform. He just stepped away from the mic a little bit, but that's something that he's consistent with building black lobbyist groups.
Yeah, but that's the truth though. You know what I'm saying? And that will help out. And when they speaking about the when Kamu just got finished saying something about the them trying to get together, and it's never gonna happen. It's not gonna happen because they killed, who was it, Gaddafi? Because he was the one that was spearheading that. And you see, once he did it, because if they ever do that, it's gonna collapse the euro and American economy, because they are the only, as far as in the whole continent, that actually backs everything up with minerals, you know what I'm saying, and things of that nature, as far as, and they have it all there to back everything up. Nobody else don't nobody know the gold here in America is that, even if it even exists anymore, but they can back everything up right then and there off gate from day one. Jewels, all kind of stuff that they have there, they could put out. You know what I'm saying? It's just like they have it all there. They would just collapse the world economy, because they would be the one. They would have the number one economy damn near overnight, and they're not gonna let them do that. Not right now. You know what I'm saying? Until they also get, you know what I'm saying, regardless on what, you still gotta gun up.
Who's stopping them though?
You got to gun up. You know what I'm saying? And until they gun up, and that's the only way they're gonna let them do it. If they come together like that and they gun up together, yeah, they'll be a superpower. But until then, that's not gonna happen.
Why not? Why choose not to?
Global white supremacy, I would imagine.
The reason why hold on, Trey, what are you asking?
I'm saying, like, you're right. They have all this potential, but they have all this space and opportunity, but like they don't do it. Like they are 99% of the population, and then they let some 1% from some foreign country prevent them they're standing on like trillions of dollars of resources. That's why, like,
no, but that's
I don't have like imagine if it was a hood, what you saying?
No, I'm saying what you're saying exactly what I'm saying.
So, but I don't back to lobbying though. I don't know if we're going to be able to compete with that community when it comes to lobbying. Like that's some big bank take little bank type mess right there. I don't know if we're going to be able to out-compete in the lobbying game.
It is actually enough black people with money if they wanted to come together and do something.
There's a lot more of them with money than us now.
It might be a lot more of them, but
Trey, I don't know. You sounded defeatist, bro.
You have to
start I don't think lobbying is going to work. Like I don't think that's a good plan. But I'm offering another
you have
plan.
to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. Until you try, you never know.
Exactly.
At least it's a start. It's a start.
Okay.
It's a start.
For sure. All right, Uncle, I'm gonna take you to the back. Appreciate the camera on, even though we couldn't see you at all. But but we appreciate it. We'll take you to the back. We do have a female caller. She hit the chat and then she's hit backstage. Let her hear your opinion. Talk to us. Great Hustle 843.
Hey fellas, how y'all doing tonight?
Oh shit.
We're good.
Got a very bad static.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm staticking?
Yeah.
That's not your real voice.
What? What?
Trey, a wild boy.
What? What's up, Trey? You my homie. Like, what's going on?
We being catfish live, y'all.
It for sure is though.
All right, listen, I'm get up and I'm gonna call back in, but I'm gonna come on camera.
Okay, all right, sound good.
Appreciate you. Oh, that shit was smashed. Yo, oh man, Trey, you a funny ass nigga, boy. Yo, that shit.
She also sound like she said that she know you, Trey.
No, she didn't.
She did. She said you the homie or something like that. I don't know what she said. She said something about something that gave reference to that y'all might know each other. I don't know. She said she's gonna come back in.
That sound like a zesty dude, bro. I don't know who that is.
Listen, all I'm saying is it's a lot of letters in the alphabet.
Oh man. Oh,
I don't know why that letter said that they we don't even know what we talking about. All right. So yeah, we can give her a couple more minutes. Or maybe like a minute or two.
That
to
shit
call
was
in,
static.
and if
that
not, we'll start bringing everybody back up. Just have a good little group conversation. But yeah, I don't know, fellas. Where did we end off at? With Unc? I think Unc was talking about really, and whether it's black lobbyists. It sounds like what you're speaking about when it comes to winning the vote is. It all kind of comes down to the idea of finding a way for black people to have leverage to be able to force a reparations / lineage based conversation, litigation to actually go through. And how we get that. That's the same difference with the African Union. It's all about finding ways in which we can, as people, have leverage to force a people that we believe doesn't want to give us something to actually give it to us. What that leverage will look like, that seems to be the point of the conversation almost.
Do you think that there would be this reparations push across the so-called diaspora if we didn't have that ball rolling as Foundation of Black Americans in America? It seems like kind of
No, I think that there's been a reparation movement over there and over here for a long time. Like, I don't think any of these are new things.
So you don't think
and what is it, like CARICOM? Like they've been like these aren't new conversations, and even that's like not like there's older conversations than that.
I don't know about that, man. I'm thinking that
I can say 15 years ago I've sat down and was inside areas where they was having reparations conversations.
But hear me out, Q.
Like, this isn't like a new thing at all.
But Q, last year I heard the Ethiopian, the leader of that country, talking about how Black Americans, we didn't fight, but we're stuck in the past, saying a bunch of derogatory things about us and our reparations claim. And then last week, I heard him talking about getting reparations. So he seems like he switched it up. Maybe that's not a reflection of all of them, but I don't know, man. It seems like now that they know we have momentum with this reparations things, we're going to see a lot of this seems like an interference type thing right now, bro. Like reparations for slave traders. Like y'all, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like the kid. I heard somebody give us a metaphor that was real good. It's like the absentee father who show up on draft day talking about, oh man, that's my son right there. Look how I did good. Like y'all sold us, now y'all want reparations. And y'all want to fight for our reparations that y'all sold us is the only reason we need it. It just seemed like, man.
Well, I guess I'm trying to understand them fighting for the
party.
Yeah, well, I guess what I'm saying is that them fighting for reparations for themselves, and then also saying like, shit, if we get this shit rolling, we'll also fuck with all the other people in the diaspora. I don't see how that hurts us at all. Like it's not.
Did they say that?
Like
Did they say they wanted to clue up?
That's what Camus in essence said, that they're fighting for their own. They're fighting for their own version of reparations, and they also are willing to fight for people of African descent across the diaspora. Whether that works or doesn't, I imagine the idea would be that it doesn't hurt us at all.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
We're not invited to CARICOM. We're not invited to these other discussions. Why are we not?
Are Black Americans aren't invited to CARICOM?
No, they include all these Caribbean groups, and then but they
that's
niggas be at Carnival every year.
No.
Wait. So what does he mean? What does he mean by not invited to CARICOM? Then G start talking about carnival.
Maybe I'm getting it mixed up. I'm ignorant. I'm not Caribbean, so I don't know. But I know like niggas go to Carnival. That's for sure.
Let me educate you guys real quick. So far as the carnival stuff. So Carnival.
No, we're talking about CARICOM. We're not talking about the Carnival.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just go CARICOM.
No, but I'm just saying, just real quick. Black Americans are all up in Carnival, waving their American flags, and it's all up. When it comes to CARICOM, no one, you have to show me where a Black American shows up and they get kicked out. That's not a thing.
But we're not invited.
There's no FBA version of CARICOM.
Oh wait. All right. So CARICOM is specifically like Caribbeans. Doing like their own version of like a EU type of thing.
No, it's for reparations.
It's for reparations.
CARICOM is for reparations.
Just them.
And it's English.
So why you sound mad, Trey? It's just you sound mad.
If you're in CARICOM in the Caribbean, you get reparations, but you come to America, do you get reparations and you're in America? So you get I know some people that would.
Well,
I know some people that are Jamaican. They have a Jamaican parent and an American parent. So this is where you're going to pivot from saying it's not lineage based. So it's lineage based. I know people that are Americans.
They get two reparations. We don't delineate because we don't get theirs. They get ours. If we don't delineate, they will get ours and theirs, and we'll just get ours.
Is CARICOM telling Black people not to?
Just mean Caribbean community. What y'all talking about, man? Y'all over here spreading that damn misinformation, man.
No, they do have like a
CARICOM reparations.
Yeah, the reparations. There's a CARICOM reparations commission that does not include Black Americans.
But I guess Trey, I'm trying to understand. Like, are they saying that Black people shouldn't delineate and that they should be a part of it? It sounds like if they're fighting their own fight, that doesn't have anything to do with like the rubric for Black people giving out reparations for Black FBAs would X them out in general. So it wouldn't be like your question wouldn't really make sense.
No, you're misunderstanding. My point is this.
You said if they can get reparations over there, then come over here and get reparations. But you always give like these three things that one of them would X them out, right?
My point is that this is an argument for delineation because they have their own reparations claim that don't include us. So our delineation needs to only include us because that's an example of tribalism can't be where everyone's tribal except for us. That's my whole point.
But I don't think CARICOM is
CARICOM did not delineate from Black Americans in order for the organization to happen. That's my whole point that I'm arguing. CARICOM did not come about and say, well, we're going to throw Black Americans under the bus and Africans under the bus so we get reparations from white people. That's what FBA does. That's different. And to my point, I know people that are Black. I know people that are Black Americans that are half American, half Jamaican, half Trinidadian, half African. And so they have, again, according to the FBA rules, as of right now, because it always changes, if you have a parent that is a Black American, you are eligible for reparations. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yo, real quick, Kofi, are there any shows with CARICOM?
Answer the question. Don't change the subject. Answer the question.
Hey, Trey, don't y'all have your own reparations claim to fight for? Like, why you over here with us?
That's what I'm getting at, Trey. That's what
so you're gonna change the question. So it goes right back to you being full of shit.
Kofi, I'm answering your question. You're correct. If you got a Black American mama and a Caribbean father, yes, you would be qualified for reparations from both sides, right? But the big question, going back to what Trey said, right?
But that's my only point. That's my only point.
We're in agreement. So we gotta go back. We're in agreement, right? But it's two things. Trey just asked the question: why are so many Caribbeans all in Black American spaces about our reparations when y'all literally have CARICOM with multiple countries? Are y'all over in those spaces on those YouTube channels? Are you over in their spaces too? In those discussions?
I'll answer that question. So again, this is another just disingenuous anecdotal.
It's a question.
And I'm answering it. Where you're inflating this particular situation, and that's indicative of all other people, was why I'm saying it's a disingenuous conversation. Go ahead, G.
No, I'm saying we might as well just turn it into the after show.
Right. I think that this will be like the space that maybe we could leave it at, that I think everybody in here should be able to agree at. I think that all FBA people in here have no issue.
Trey scared off the bot. Damn, man. You should have just let it rock, man. Damn, you fucking the
bot was about it was about to get wild. You can kind of tell.
You just should have just shut the fuck up. Damn.
Get off the AI, Trey.
Yeah. But yeah, really quickly, I think that a space that we could probably find common ground as we end the episode. I think that all the FBA people in here would probably be cool with CARICOM getting their own individual reparations that have nothing to do with Black people.
Yes.
On the flip, I imagine all Caribbeans in here, anybody of the diaspora, would be okay with Black people getting their own reparations specifically for them. Is that fair?
That's not the feedback that I've got. They got a lot of issues with us being
big issues.
No, I'm just saying, like the people that are talking right now.
Oh, okay. Like, why don't they invite us to CARICOM, bro?
Hey, like, you know what? Hey, look, but let me just say something about CARICOM. I don't know if this is true or not.
Oh shit!
But there are a list of global partners established that have diplomatic representation in the CARICOM community. So I don't know if that just means you got representation with one of those member countries or what, but the list is very long. I mean, from Asians, you're talking about Japan, Korea, United States. I don't know if that means real, quote unquote, CARICOM partnership, like these countries are partnering like as a whole with CARICOM, or if these countries have some sort of representation diplomatically with individually within some of these countries. I don't know what's what, but I did want to just point out that that's an interesting little list of countries of quote unquote partners that give credit to CARICOM.
It's all of the above. You have partnership, and then you have a segment of it that is going after reparations. So you're right on both accounts.
Gotcha. All right, so fellas, let me wrap this, and then we can kind of get into after show activities. So nonetheless, this has been a part 2. We'll let y'all know if we continue the series, but again, delineation, reparations, can it actually work? Today we kind of focus a little bit more on, can we vote our way to reparations, and if so, how do we find leverage to get white supremacy, the power structure, to actually give us reparations? Again, this is Q from the To Be Fair Show. It's G-ish Podcast at the top. We have FBA's own Mr. David Walker, aka Cassius Trey, Johnny P below him, Quincy, TBI, Kofi, Steve, and Unc. On the call-in side of the game, we appreciate y'all. We appreciate everybody listening. Again, like, comment, subscribe, hit them super chats, hit those cash apps to the fellas. And with that said, this has been a great conversation. We out. Peace.